Senor Fensom, ¿cómo está? Thank you for your time. How are you today, my friend? What's going on?
Muy bien, ¿y tú? ¿Tú hablas en español?
Hey, sí, pequeño. Wait, is it pequeño or poquito? I was getting mixed up. One's Spanish, one's Portuguese.
Pequeño en español. Or
Hey.
it's Spanish is like if you add the ito to stuff, it's like babyfying it.
Yeah,
So
it's
if
more
you had,
bland.
yeah, so if you're like, like a chica, you'd be like chiquito, is like little baby. Like it's like,
Wonderful.
yeah, I think it's a baby small. It's like a small biscuit or something.
5 seconds in, guys, you've got a lesson. There we are. Every day's a school day. Love to see it. Love to see
Well,
it.
do you know what I've been doing? My wife is Mexican, so I should be able to speak some Spanish. But I was like, oh, I want to make the best out of lockdown. So the first lockdown, all I did was sit around and eat like everyone else. And
Mm.
then as it dragged on, I was like, oh, I need to like get the best out of this. So I was like, wrote down like a list of daily goals, and one was half an hour a day of practicing a foreign language, which I was learning anyway, but kind of sporadically. So I've had the last year of pretty consistent practicing every day. So I'm still terrible, but I'm not as terrible.
So I like to go into this quite a bit more because I've got Duolingo for Portuguese and my butchered Brazilian just borderline offensive, really, but that's fine. How are you learning as such? What is your process? Okay, day one, I want to learn Spanish for half an hour a day. What does that entail? What does that start off as?
Oh, I'm like you. I've got Duolingo, but the so it's quite a simple, structured way of doing it, right? And I think with the jiu-jitsu martial arts mindset, it works quite well because it's
Mm.
essentially just a test over and over again, right? Which like rolling is just a test over and over again.
Trial
And
and error, yeah.
every time you just learn 100 ways not to do it. So I feel like Duolingo is kind of similar. I think where Duolingo falls short sometimes is like the tips and like actually teaching you it kind of it like they're there, but it's not like in depth enough. So what
The
I'll do is
Gracie
I'll do
University of language.
yeah. So I'll do Duolingo, and then when I find a sticking point that I don't really understand even with the Duolingo explanation, I'll just go on YouTube and watch a video. And then previous to lockdown, because she moved away because of lockdown, but I had an actual live Spanish teacher that would come to my house once a week. Not my wife. Do you know my wife? I hate talking to her in Spanish because I think we're all like self-conscious, right?
Mm.
And and I know that I must sound like a moron, right? And then she'll correct me, which like winds me up even more. Um, and then I'll ask her why something is a certain way, and it's her native language. So she's like, I don't know why it's like that. And I was like,
Mm.
that's not helpful to me. So it's incredibly frustrating. So I'm learning Spanish to talk it to nobody, or like you on a podcast. That's
Mm.
it.
But this is something that's really interesting because again, this does translate to jiu-jitsu. We'll get there at some point, everyone, don't worry. But with this is like when you're coaching or training with your like significant other, because again, like someone who's independent, your coach, you ask them a question, you've got that relationship sorted. You're like, do you know what? You don't have to have that layer of being polite, or you have to understand. It's like, now fuck off. But this
Yeah.
is the thing with it. Language is so interesting, especially Spanish. Like for example, "Cómo te llamo?" It's how do you call yourself? Imagine
Yeah.
saying that. Instead of saying "What's your name?" Like how do you call yourself? Very long-winded way about it. And this is why I think, if you have an authentic Brazilian person teaching jiu-jitsu, the
Yeah.
analogy is always so strange. And I feel that's
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
the same thing. Like, I think,
I,
go on.
I had a coach and he would always say, "Ah, oh, look, Chris, the big rabbit's in the small bush." And he used to say it to, I was like, to this day, I have no idea what that means. But
Or,
like every
or.
time, yeah. And if like pre-competition, one of my students is like, "Can you give me some advice?" And I don't know what to say. I'm like, just remember, the big bad rabbit is in the small bush. And then they give me that confused expression. I just walk off with a knowing like wink.
Like,
But yeah, you're right. There is like that weird. Do you know what's so weird about that is English people that develop a Brazilian accent, right?
Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie
She's
Dern.
the classic.
If you listen to anyone who hasn't got the references, Google or YouTube on Mackenzie Dern accent because she's from California, but her dad's like Megaton Diaz, obviously a family's Brazilian. She goes like Kelly kid to like, hey man, pressing the guard, remember jiu-jitsu is one of them ones, man. And then the next day she's like, hey, what's going on, guys? It's just like, okay, which one is it?
But when
Like,
you look that good, it doesn't matter.
but well, this is I haven't quite got that caveat, so I'm gonna get a bit bitter about it. Thank you very much. One thing at a time. So now the nature of learning things, like you're saying there, sort of rinse and repeat until you sort of grind out the what doesn't work. Is that how you
Yeah,
sort of tend to like learn new techniques? Again, obviously being a black belt
yeah.
yourself, you have to keep still learning things all the time. How do you take in new information?
So I think that the it's weird, right? Because there's like, I'm going to completely contradict myself, because there's the traditional Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu thing of leave your ego at the door, which I hate. Because I'm like, why would you want a black belt if you didn't have an ego? Like, right? Why? I want to be able to kick another man's ass because I think that's pretty damn cool, right? So it's there's like the leave your ego at the door thing is bollocks, but I think what it means is you can't get better unless you're willing to like take a little hit to the ego here, there, and everywhere. And I think the problem that you get to the higher belts, and all of a sudden, I think your ego can come back quite a lot, because you're looked at a certain way, especially if you teach as well. You're looked at a certain way by the lower belts. You're kind of expected to win every round, and the problem with that is you might be able to win every round, but if you do win every round, you're not developing, you're not putting yourself in bad positions, you're not trying new shit, right? Essentially, right? So I had this big thing when I got to brown belt, where all of a sudden, before the leg lock revolution, it was like the modern thing. It was, people didn't really do leg locks very much. And I got to brown belt and everyone was leg locking me. And it was like also the time that it suddenly EBI came out and it became, oh shit, we can pull off people's legs. So I was like, why have I not learned to do this? So I brought every instruction I could find on leg locking, which at the time wasn't a lot. It was like Dean Listers and a couple of others. It's before the Danaher guys had put anything out. And I grabbed my students and I would start in leg locking positions, and I was losing to everyone. I was losing to blue belts and white belts, and I was getting tapped out a lot as well, because I'm a pretty big guy. I'm in the just about 100 kilos at the moment, and a black belt. So it's not too often that someone smaller than me, a lower belt that's lighter than me, is tapping me out. It's it happens, no, but it's not too often. But all of a sudden, I'm starting in 50-50 to get good at leg locks, and needs blue belt to capture me because I don't know the technique. My weight difference isn't so useful, and it's not like some of the other positions where my experience was carrying me through and I can guess on the right thing to do. So it was, it was really difficult to do that. But that becomes, I forced myself to do it. I literally got a notebook, and every week I'd write down how many hours I spent either training, drilling, or watching videos on leg locks. And I tried to do 2 to 3 hours a week for a year. So my theory was 100 to 150 hours of just working on leg locks. And now everyone's petrified of my leg locks and runs away. And I've won a few black belt comps now entirely with leg locks. But I wouldn't have been able to do that development if I wasn't willing to lose a lot and fail a lot. And it's the same with, I say about looking stupid to my wife. Like, I would develop faster if I was willing to look stupid and talk to her more. And it's like anything. I've been also, one of my lockdown things, I was missing competition, beating other people. So I thought about the Xbox thing. I know you're a big fan of that, but I went a bit nerdier. I just downloaded the chess app. You just play people chess online, and I've become obsessed with it. But the first couple of months, I was probably winning 1 in 10 games, just getting smoked by everyone, and they rank you. So I'm facing other morons and I'm still losing. But now, I've got through that, the jiu-jitsu analogy. I've been the nail, now I get to be the hammer, and I'm actually winning a few in a row. So you've just got to be willing to lose a lot. That's how and look stupid. That's how you get good at stuff, I think.
There's so much there. But first and foremost,
I just waffled on.
Sorry. No. Okay, so first and foremost, this is a podcast, conversation, waffle as much as you like. It's all content. It's all good fun. Don't worry. This ain't short and sweet. You get comfy. Second of all, we're getting the rounds in on the chessboard whenever you're about after this. That's fine.
Bring it on. Yeah.
That's it. But one thing you also said there about being able to be vulnerable and being able to be, it's the whole thing, the Confucius thing, like, if you ask a stupid question, you're a fool for a minute. If you never ask it, you're a fool forever. And it's a really strange sort of thing to appreciate in the moment. Like, shit, I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to say this. Like, well, yeah, but not really. And I like how you're aware of the X in your back, because this is a reality of this. Because again, leave your ego at the door bullshit. Again, if you didn't strive for better, you won't be able to advance. Same way, resistance training, you're adding resistance to then build stronger, to then so on and so forth. Don't ask for lighter weights, ask for stronger, muscles.
Yeah.
Happy days. And when it comes to your note taking, this is what we really want to go into quite a lot. Is it just ticking off things? Are you breaking down things? Are you articulating thoughts in your head? How are you using your notes to help explain and develop your skill set?
the problem is, I think we all have like different ways of learning jiu-jitsu, and I've seen people that are like intense note takers, and I got some of my students that do that. But then with the thing with jiu-jitsu, there's also this like feel thing. It's like, and the problem, like I try and look at it scientifically. So, you know, if I know you're a very good MMA fighter, so I would look at, I know you fight on Battle Arena. So if I was coaching you, I'd say, right, what's the most common way of winning on Battle Arena, right? So it's probably a rear naked choke, right? So, okay, how can we get to that? What's most likely? Okay, what are you most likely to get caught with? Okay, right. And I can come up with that. But the problem is you have to then personalize it back to you. Maybe you hate rear naked chokes, so it'd be a pointless thing to train, right? So with like learning leg locks, it was just trying as many things as I could, and then so drilling them enough that I could at least have a go at them rolling, and then trying them out rolling, and then like figuring out kind of what works with my body and my brain, right? Because there's certain things like I'm a pretty poor wrestler, and I went to America to train wrestling, right? I really tried to be good at wrestling, and I'm shit at wrestling, right? I've had hundreds of competition jiu-jitsu matches. I've scored one takedown ever, right? But for whatever reason, I can Imanari roll like a machine, right? Now that's a super low percentage technique. So if you were going, oh, I'm going to learn jiu-jitsu or leg locks or anything else, that should not be your go-to. But for me, it worked, and it worked just through experimenting. So it's like a scientific experiment with an N of 1. You know, you're just constantly testing on yourself, and you can extrapolate that to diet and everything else. You just got to, I think, to be successful, you got to figure out what works for you specifically. So like if note taking works, but for me, it's just feel and just trying stuff over and over again, and then pressure trying it, doing it rolling, and then on higher and higher level opponents to see if it really works.
So again, there's so much in that I really like. And one thing with the note taking, like I've had him before, Jeremy Skinner, a very prolific grappling competitor. I asked him that same question. He brought back a stack on stack of notebooks he's filled through. And again, like some people swear by it, but I really like the way you've said it's with the feel kind of thing. Because again, this is why we say about Gracie University and the online drills and the videos. Watching them and knowing the technique and applying it are two very different things. And you know yourself, again, I've been doing jiu-jitsu 5-6 years and rolling with like some brown and black belts. Like, why have I even bothered? I could never started. You know what I mean?
I've been doing this like 13 years, and I still feel the same with certain, like fucking Roger Gracie, like just smokes me every time. I can't I've rolled with him hundreds of times over 13 years, and I've scored 1 point ever, and I remember it, and I'm so proud.
On the go.
I got one sweep.
Got an advantage. No problem with that. It's fine. He sat down. I'll take that.
And the sweep upset, so then he beat the shit out of me.
Live and die by the sword.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
Go down a hero. With understanding like jiu-jitsu ambiguity and the sort of the fog of everything, is it more systemic kind of A to B to C? Is it okay, do this, ow, it hurts, don't do that again, like touch the stove kind of reactions? How would you like to learn and sort of build your jiu-jitsu as such? Because when it comes to leg locks, again, if it's something you haven't been, the reason a lot of people learn leg locks is because they're getting caught with them. And you're saying that the plethora of your initial training up to that point wasn't really on the radar. Were you starting to get caught with them then, or what was happening really?
Yeah, I mean, it was the gym I train at the time. Now everyone trains leg locks early on, but at the time it was you can't do them till brown belt.
I can't do them. Okay.
Yeah, because it was just the IBJJF competition rules. All you can do is a straight foot lock up to brown belt. So all of a sudden it became all the, you get the brown belt and you're like, right, like black belt's huge, and it feels like it's only a step away. And the problem was, anyone that, it was almost like I was hiding the fact that I couldn't do leg locks. I was trying to disguise it. So I would never play the leg lock game because I was like, oh no, I was like literally worried that someone was going to tap me out with a knee bar and then just tell everyone else in the gym. And everyone would be like, it'd be like kryptonite. They're like, we found out how to beat Chris. Just leg lock the shit out of him. Like, he can't use his fat weight. He doesn't know what he's doing. So yeah, I felt like I was hiding it. And then it became obvious that it was going to be the way to progress. And then I saw it as other people's weaknesses as well, because some of the other guys I'd come up with that were also getting to like brown belt, I kind of had the epiphany that if I didn't know leg locks very well, they didn't. And the same thing with the ego, you know, they've just spent the last 10 years becoming triangle guys or Kimura guys or whatever their style. They've built that. They don't want to suddenly do the thing they're shit at, right? So I saw it as a way as well of winning competitions for me. And like I said before, like I don't like wrestling. It's too hard to train. It hurts. Like if I can roll for people's legs and even passing guard, like how hard is it to pass a black belt or a brown belt's guard? It's just like you could just destroy yourself like cardio wise just to get a pass. Yeah, and then you got to psycho draw a half, but you're still nowhere near a submission. But yeah, the classic fuck it, try a leg lock, like why not? Like, and then if no one else is that good at them as well, because I had this epiphany, oh, everyone's better than me. But then I started training and realized, all right, everyone's better than me, but they're not good. Right. So what I did, I started training them. And then I went to, started training at a 10th Planet school on top of my normal gi club, because the problem with that, my club was only the brown and black belts could do leg locks at the time. And the way you normally learn a technique is bullying white belts, right? Exactly. So I couldn't do it. So I went to this 10th Planet school, and that was like ego as well, because I'm walking into a class as a brown belt at the time, and I've got a purple belt instructor, and like a lot of people wouldn't do that. They're like, ego, like why can I learn from him? I'm like, he's better at that bit of jiu-jitsu than me, so like I'm come here to learn that. And like I specifically told him, I was like, I've come here to learn this. Can I heel hook your white belts? And he's like, go for it.
You have him, cannon fodder.
Yeah. So yeah, like that was my approach to it, really. But yeah, I wish I was more scientific. It's all kind of in my head. So often, like, I'll teach a class and I'll plan it out, and then I'll just go on complete tangents of this is what I would do here and this is what I would do here. And that's why everyone's got their own style. But then you also have to think about your students. I'm 6'5", so I'm going to fight very differently to a short person. So I have to also teach like the Marcelo gi game and stuff like that I don't normally play, but I need to understand it and be able to teach it.
So again, I'm going to keep saying this because I do mean this. I do like a lot what you're saying there about the vulnerability, the awareness that, again, this is like a layer people seem to always have of, oh, I can't be caught. I can't be seen as a constructor in a position of authority and power to be shown as I've got a weakness, I've got a hole. Like, it's meant to be this sort of superficial kind of, I know everything being black belt. But yeah, I like the fact
so not true.
Literally, like, instead of, oh, we can't do them, we are not doing them because we don't know them. There's a big difference. Yeah. If you now have the knowledge you've developed and earned, and then choose not to, that's a different conversation. You've got it in your locker. It's a whole potential thing as a whole, you're not there's my favorite meme for this. It was the guy praying to God, says, please give me a reason not to beat this guy's ass, says, because you can't fight.
Yeah, it's a good reason.
And this is sort of people who's like, yeah, like, I don't know, it's the whole, you can't be the greatest good, worst evil, but even there, like, people have stories to tell themselves. Yeah, I'm not good at wrestling, I'm not good at this. Was your one takedown in a competition, was it a fake guard pull ankle pick?
No, do you know what it was? It was where was it? It's like, it doesn't matter, like Brighton Open or something. Yeah. And it was a blue belt comp, and then they had, I think it was a purple belt super fight, which was me versus this guy he was like a, what was it? He's like a 2nd degree in judo and Aikido master, but a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so like it closed off all the mats, and it was like everyone was watching us, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't even think about it like going live. I thought it was like a normal match, and everyone's watching, and I pull guard and try and submit him, which is kind of my way, and I throw up 100 submissions, but nothing works. And then he gets a pass, and he's 2 points up. And then I kind of scramble, and we both end up back on our feet. And I look at the clock, and there's 20 seconds to go. So I was like, my ears, fuck it, try and take down. So I shot for a double. He landed on his back, and I footlocked him.
Oh, so that's sweet.
I still got the submission.
Got everything.
Yeah, and that was kind of that's the thing. Like, I say that I was vulnerable to footlocks. I've always had a good straight footlock, which I always saw it as a good thing to throw at the end of a competition match if you're a few points down. So I've always been all right at that. But
really set it with the face, like, really grimacing. Like, oh, everyone's there. It's like, no, it's not.
I got a question for you. I wanna know about you received the greatest nut shot in MMA history. Bringing up shit memories for you.
We're gonna go at the commentary as well. You roasted me as well for what that fight, the Fort Manus fight, my worst performance of my life and the most embarrassing fight of my life. Beyond also the fact I got memed for that fight. I got memed for getting knocked out and crying, which is wonderful. Cheers, and all the fucking casuals making comments. So nice one. You crack on telling me how to fight, and while you know sit there gluttonizing yourself and just being cunts. But yeah, go on. What's your question?
Oh, you got to watch that back and actually appreciated the technique of that nut shot. He got his hips behind it. It was obviously it wasn't on purpose, but it was so perfect.
You know, when you see boxing like mitts, I'll tell you what it was like. You know how you get the bigger ones, get really small ones, like placement shots.
Yeah.
It was so specific the way he got me. Like, it wasn't like a glancing shot where it hits the waistband or near inside leg kick. It was so direct. I thought it must have been trained. Like, to try and get that upward trajectory, because you know, with throwing inside leg kicks, normally it's a flat line or a slip.
Yeah.
That was so linear and so like directional. That's got to be like intentional, surely.
There's no way that was an inside leg kick is like much lower than that, and then. All right, if you checked it, lift your leg and it slid up.
I'm 6'2". I wish I was that well hung, but no, it's not. The Vale Tudos, there's not much to hide in there either. So like, what's it? It's pretty like outlined where not to hit. You know what I mean? It's not exactly a secret.
I watched it back the other day, and then me and Steve on the commentary were not supportive. I do apologize.
No, you know, the thing to really bear in mind with this, from the person in that seat thinking, you know what? If I was watching that, I'd make the comment, and this is it. I rated the instant replay though. That kind of like basic editing. I thought, you know what? They fucking got that in. I like that. But do you know what annoys me about that fight so much is with CJ. I found out he's got quite bad eyesight. So you know when people say they close their eyes and throw, when he knocked me out, he literally couldn't see anything. He just swung as hard as he could.
Yeah, it wasn't a technical shot. I thought you actually looked up until the nut shot. Yeah, I thought you looked really good. You were like using your range in a jab, and like I had you tipped to beat him, but the eyes closed overhand right, like it's just
different die by the sword, man. I appreciate that, but it's to say, you know, when you're going to go in these competitions, it's all probability, isn't it? You know that if we're open standing, no groups engaged, there's potential infinite options. So, you know.
And this is why I've always, my initial background was striking, and I fell in love with jiu-jitsu because I was like, we're striking, you can't practice knocking each other out. So the checkmate is like theoretical, right? It sounds weird because
it's obviously a bit, isn't it? It's a bit of a nod. It's like, okay, we know.
Yeah, and I boxed for years. I had a few boxing fights, and I did karate for years, and I knocked people down, and I hurt people with body shots occasionally, but I never knocked out anyone. So why would I go in a cage thinking I could knock someone out? But I've tapped out loads of people. So I was like, all I got to do is repeat something that I do every goddamn day of the week, just with people watching. And I was like, that seems like a way better strategy than trying to knock someone out, especially some big professional, semi-professional fighter. Like,
I love how you said semi-professional. No, I'll tell you why I love you said semi-professional.
Is not the words?
No, it's perfect because anyone here would appreciate this. All the AMI fighters on Tinder dating apps, you're not an AMI fighter. You're a semi-professional MMA fighter, and it's how you got to say it. You've got to do it.
Is that what you do on Tinder? I've been with the same woman since I was 18. So
I expect that, but as to say. When on this is superficial. This is, take egos aside. This is egos entirely. So if you say amateur MMA fighter, you hear that not from a layman point of view. Oh, you're just a hobbyist. No, it's pretty much professional. It's not getting paid for it. Obviously, not same skill level, but same commitment.
You want to hang on Battle Arena now? You got to train full time.
Like, literally, it's no old school. Like, oh, do you fancy a scrap on the day? Yeah, get stuck in. That's not anymore. But if you say that to people, you're an amateur fighter, they don't respect it. Semi-professional athlete's got some weight behind it, so there you go. Everyone.
So if I go on Tinder with the Battle Arena belt and be like, just flexing and put semi-pro fighter, am I getting all the women? Probably not, right?
I'd go with blue jiu-jitsu black belt as a priority thing. We get all the belts. Wear the black belt, wear all the belts linear and the champ belts, and just no bio. I'll tell you what, that is big dick energy. No bio, just picture say enough. You know what I mean?
But I could do a scientific experiment with see how much.
You're gonna get so cancelled, but that's fine. You know what's up.
I missed out on Tinder. It's like it wasn't my generation. It was like when I was young. That was sad. Losers used to date on the internet. Now everyone does.
We're all losers. That's why.
My wife has walked in, told me off.
Well, ask her
I
the
was
question.
complimenting you.
Whilst we have her attention, can you please ask her if
Oh, wait,
you
you
were
got a
on
question?
Tinder and you saw your profile?
All right, I gotta put the headphones on it. Wait.
All right, cool.
Go on. Ask your question.
He should have many questions if he's talking to you.
Okay, I do have many a question, but thank you for your time and ready to cringe.
I'm in a dressing gown. What are you doing?
Feel free to slap Chris on behalf of me for this. That's fine.
Okay,
But
ready now.
so Tinder format. You see Chris's profile.
Yeah.
There he is. He's just got the jiu-jitsu black belt on, championship belts. Does he need a bio or is that enough? Where the description about who I am, everything else, is a belt enough just for like, you know, bragging rights?
Depends who he wants to attract. If he wants to people
No,
to
yourself.
think he's a twat.
No, yourself.
No, would you get me? Oh God, no.
Is that super
Lord, no. That is not why we met. He was a scrawny, looked like a piece of linguine.
Oh.
He had no sense, couldn't dance, had no rhythm, couldn't catch a frisbee. You can't dance like a pro. You still have no rhythm.
Oh.
You still have no.
Oh.
You are not what I signed up for. What's happened now? You have transformed.
Should we just call it a day there? Do you want I'm sorry.
It's all right. We've grown to love each other again. It's fine. Don't worry.
Fisticuffs is not held responsible for any relationships being deteriorated due to the episodes being recorded.
Yeah, that did not go well.
Well, we won't make that a regular question on the podcast, then. I'll put that to one side.
No.
I think it's just trying to save face. I think that's a yes, but we'll get there at some point.
So the commentary on the Paul McManus fight, were you happy with that one?
Not really, but the reason I wasn't happy with it is because it was too true and I didn't like it.
What did we say? I can't remember, to be honest.
It was pretty much like a sparring match, the way the intensity was sort of laid out. And if I'm honest, it was, because when you come off a knockout loss, if you watch the way I describe this is Jamie Richardson, Kent Kapanen on Cage Warriors, but that's the way it should have looked. But I did my BTEC amateur version of it, like trying to get knocked out and trying not to go 0-3.
In fairness to you, like, the only way he was going to beat you was landing an overhand right or something ridiculous. Like, yeah, to stick behind a jab and keep range, and like you were going to beat him all day. Like, and that the goal is not to entertain the crowd or make the commentators happy. The goal is to win the fight, right? And that's what you did. And like, he's like, the problem for you is he looks a certain way, but he's way more game and a better fighter than he looks.
There's so much.
It looks like he's got rickets. This is the problem.
The thing with there's loads in that. First and foremost, I appreciate you being so respectful with this whole thing anyway, because again, I didn't want to come on here to call you out and be this thing. It's more
no, you wouldn't be the first person.
Yeah, but you know, my platform isn't to try and get clickbait headlines. It's to shed some light on people who aren't appreciated as much. But yeah, shout out you. There's that. But again, I like the way why it didn't run me the right way, because again, it was close to home. Because again, you explain what that was. You come off a knockout loss, you don't want to get caught again. But Antonio Lucas said it perfectly. It's so hard to look good against Paul McManus. Because again, as much as you think, okay, the legs slightly turned inwards, the low kicks there on the plate, his range. So if you've ever boxed with someone who's a really decent level, they've got loads of little footwork. So it's not the big leaping steps, loads of inch by inch, just out of range, just in range, you can't even see it. And that's what that was for me. I'm leaping in with Superman punches. I'm trying to throw kicks. I don't know where the fuck he is. And then he pings in and chins me. I'm like, what's going on here? So as much as on paper, literally, I'm there thinking the same thing you. I think just chop the leg kicks, just hit him. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Where's he gone?
And the problem for you, everyone in that crowd is looking at him going, I could kick that guy's ass. And he's actually technically sound, but he's so bloody tough as well. Like,
I kicked him in the face. He firmed it. I thought, fucking hell, like, it wasn't like put my weight behind it, but it's still man's foot in your jaw. You're not going to like that too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I apologize if the commentary wasn't.
No, don't apologize at all. Again, if you said anything that wasn't fair, I would call that out and say that's not right.
Yeah.
What you said, you did what commentator does. You said what you saw. You saw someone sort of pulling their punches a bit, being tentative. That's what it was. Like, it's not a secret.
It's one of the problems with Battle Arena is obviously it's a level of show where, I'm arriving and all the fighters are there, and that's great because I've got so many friends, and like the UK MMA industry, I get to meet, like, chat with Danny Batten and people like that, and people that I've known for forever. But you
Danny
know,
Batten conversations are not on this podcast. We're doing outside of the podcast. I do not want to be properly cancelled. They are
yeah, I know.
not recorded.
But yeah, the fighters will voice their opinion. I've only had, me and Steve have had 2. One was, I won't say his name, but
Joe
great,
Blogs.
Joe Blogs, great up and coming young fighter. And we said he couldn't wrestle, right? And Steve is a Canadian high school wrestling champion and obviously a battle arena champion as well.
Wrestler.
And he's bloody good wrestler and like coaches it. If Steve tells you can't wrestle, you can't wrestle. And he tells me I can't wrestle. So like I could take it, right? And he said he couldn't wrestle. And this fighter had a fight. Wrestling was way improved. And afterwards he came over and went, look, I can't fucking wrestle. And so like I went and chatted to him backstage. It's like, oh, we cool. And he's like, yeah. He's like, the problem is all my mates watch it who don't do MMA, all my college buddies. And they all came up to me and said, you need to learn to wrestle. You need to get underhooks. Why can't you wrestle? Mate, next time you learn some wrestling. And obviously, and then everyone that became friends with him after saw that fight and then watched it. So forever, he's being reminded, people going, why don't you learn to wrestle? Why don't you learn to wrestle?
Oh,
and I was like, yeah, that would be really annoying. And then we had one other, and he, not a good fighter, got smoked a couple of times. And
Human,
a lovely guy, not a lovely guy, I was about to say, but a lovely guy. No, but a dick. But so he came up, and me and Steve were sat there making notes before the show, and he was like, "How fucking dare you? How dare you say I can't fight? How dare you? Rah, rah, rah. I'd like to see you two fucking do this." And I was like,
all right,
the reason we got this job,
here's some links.
The reason we got this job is because we both won titles on the show. And he's like, "Oh, I'd like to see you fucking do." And I was like, you've come over being really aggressive. I was like, we're very unlikely to be afraid of you if we've consistently slagged off the fact you can't fight.
At that point, then what?
Yeah, and then he just stormed off. Be like, fucking idiot! They're going to talk to James and be like what? Those guys called it right.
But there's a few things with that I really want to sort of go into, because there's the whole Marcus Aurelius thing, that a friend to all is friend to none. And again, when you like myself,
you're a stoic. I like this. This is good.
Don't get me started. We're here all day talking about Jordan Peterson and, like, you know, Seneca and all this kind of shit. But
I'm reading Seneca at the moment.
What letters Seneca?
Yeah, discourses. Yeah.
Okay. That's Epictetus, yeah.
Epictetus, yeah.
Epicureanism. Anyway, one thing at a time. This rabbit hole is very close, and we're going to fall down it in a minute. But it's a friend to all, a friend to none. Because again, like, you go into battle arena, again, shaking everyone's hand, everyone's your mate, because again, you're a neutral party in this. But if you see me, like, after this conversation now, you think, you know what, we got to know each other a bit more, mates, or whatever. Then you see me fight, you see me getting chinned or doing something wrong. You're not going to say, oh no, Dan's doing that strategically. You say, no, he's not got his hook there. He's not done this right. It's matter of fact. And you know how personal fighting is. Again, it's
very difficult. Yeah.
It's that interesting sort of balance. This is where it is interesting trying to, I don't know, be you and also be a professional and also have these relationships. And when fighters like themselves, we'll call him human, why not, like that's a little safe name, comes out like that emotionally. Because again, he's got his right of, he's trying to put himself on that stage, and then people are critiquing it, albeit true. Like I said, the reason the commentary on my fight hit home because it was true. But I could take that because I'm honest with this sort of stuff. Some people aren't as comfortable being honest.
Yeah.
And it's a really strange one. But one thing you said there, it fucking twisted a knife a bit. Everyone listening now, if you're a casual and just having fun, that's fine. If your mates have like had a fight, please don't give them corner advice unless you have some kind of martial arts experience. Just don't be that guy. I had literally the comment I said about sparring in that fight. I had some guy from work, toxic cunt. He knows who he is. He's not listening to the podcast because he's too busy slagging off because he hasn't got anything else to do with time. He said, "Oh, it's like a sparring match." Then, yeah, you fucking cut 6 kilos overnight. You come back from fucking getting knocked out and facing everyone. You tell me how much fun it was. And like, no, he's just gonna play football on the weekends. You can fuck off. So that's a little point there. Sorry.
That's the thing. Even occasionally on Battle Arena, we have some 10-second KOs or whatever where you don't even get to we don't even get to see anything the other way. Your fights are, long enough to get to see stuff. But, I will try to always say, and also a shout out to blah blah blah. He got knocked out, but he really put his heart and soul into a preparation or something. Even though I don't know, I just make it up. Like, he tried his art, and like the whole is the Roosevelt thing, the man in the arena. I used to always read that before I walk out to fight, and I'd be like, even if even if I get my ass kicked right now and I get embarrassed and it's on the internet forever and people talk to me about it forever, it's like I'll be an old man and I don't think I'll regret going for my dream of walking out and fighting in front of these people. And like, and I came to peace with like the worst thing that happens. And I'm sure you know people, and I know people that are amazing in the gym, but they just don't have it psychologically to walk out there and do it. So I don't care if you get KO'd in 5 seconds. Like if you make that walk, like fucking amazing. Like, and credit to anyone that does it. But the problem is the job of a commentator is to give your opinion, and quite often you have to be harsh. And I feel like we have a slightly different role, me and Steve, with the level of the show, with the semi-professional athletes. In the we're both coaches. We want guys to get better. Often they might come from the guy that couldn't wrestle, that learned to wrestle. He came from a gym which was a bit more traditional martial artsy.
We'll talk after to it is. I'm curious because
traditional
traditional martial arts is always a funny starting point for MMA conversation.
No, but it's like it had MMA, but it was like most of the guys were kind of from traditional martial arts through to MMA, and and they're I think it was Rising Crane. They're a great school, but they're a really good school. Like I'm not criticizing them, but at the time they weren't developed in having, you know, instructors that could teach like cagecraft and working against the wall and stuff like that, right? Which is a huge part. So it's us as commentators, we go, you've got this hole in your game, and they go work on it. Brilliant. And I feel like that's different. It's not Joe Rogan's job to tell Daniel Cormier how to train or John Jones how to train, but I feel like with the dynamic of Battle Arena and the fact that we are the kind of veterans of it, we're in a position where I want to give advice, you know, like, and if people take it or not, that's up to them. But like, I feel like it's a little bit different.
I'm curious as to what time that was, because I went to Rising Crane. That's my first gym where I started, like 6-7 years ago, maybe. But either way,
it might not have been Rising Crane. It's ringing a bell with me, but
it's just insert, you know. The gym name. I mean, you only had like how many fighters on Battle Arena you've had to announce? Was it thousands?
I just making up names at one point.
Thing is, in the gym, when you forget people's names, just call them mate. That's universal. There's loads of people I could call mate. It's fine. But one thing with the position you're in, which is quite unique and a bit of a double-edged sword as such, being, I say amateur show because that's the level of people fighting on it, but it's a very professional production. But the amateur level of competition, you know yourself, being a beginner in certain areas, you have to, what you said earlier, be able to fail and fail often, that sort of thing, fail well. If you're on a platform on an amateur kind of idea, that your amateur record, if you're going to go professional, is just your trial and error. You run out, see what happens. Okay, hit that wall, goes in that wall, and this wall and that wall, and so on and so forth. And it's a very uncomfortable process of getting told what you know you're doing wrong. And especially when you get professional level, obviously you've had that drilled and burnt into you, and you can start getting critiqued a bit less or take it a bit better. But I feel this is part of the same amateur trial by fire sort of thing. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think if you want to be a fighter, you need a level of self-belief where you don't need compliments anymore. And you just, like, my first MMA coach, this is like back in the day MMA, right? So this is like,
in a pub car park.
Yeah, this is like when I started jiu-jitsu, there was basically 2 jiu-jitsu clubs in the country. And this is like the kickboxing club they brought in this girl who's a judo, like Olympian, and she bought books on MMA and then taught all these kickboxers MMA. That was my introduction to MMA. And what I loved about her as a coach was she was just mean. So I went from like I's karate background and stuff, and it's like you're a customer. That's what it feels like. And then like lots of compliments. You're doing great, right? Have a new belt. And then all of a sudden it was like, she was like, you want to be a cage fighter? She's like, I'm not here to like tell you you're good. Like, I'm here to tell you what you do wrong and you need to fucking fix it. Right. And that was her attitude. And like some people might have just walked away and that wouldn't work for them at all. And me as an instructor, I have to figure out people's personalities, but I know, and I think this should probably be your state if you're a fighter, that you don't really need compliments. You just want to know how to get better. And any coaches I have that can't start blowing smoke up my ass, I'm like, just tell me what I did wrong. Don't tell me what I did right. I don't give a fuck. Like, or I'm aware what I did right. Like, just tell me what I did wrong. So I think you need to be that personality. Even if you're going to fight on Battle Arena or any other show, you need to be looking for criticism, like actively. You should just look at people that tell you you're wrong. Unless it's like big criticism, like you should do a different hobby, like maybe you need to take up Xbox, like then you need to like maybe take it on board a little bit. But like if it's technical, then yeah, like you shouldn't need compliments if you're going to be a cage fighter, really.
To quote our man Marcus Aurelius, don't let praise go to your head or failure go to your heart. This is the thing about how you take critique and how you manage it, because there's the rule of thumb. Dan Hooker quoted, I can't remember who originally said it, but you go to people. I don't take critique from people I go to for advice, and that sort of idea that if Joe Bloggs down the pub says you need to work on your striking, saying all right, mate, so cheers, see you later. But if your coach says, you know what, your hands keep dropping as you're throwing your jab, think, you know what, okay, you might have something on there. And again, I've had a different environments of training, and that resonated with me quite a lot. What you just said there, it's a different attitude, because when you're a competitor or a fighter, again, the whole just bleed, just let me bang, bro mentality, as much as we take the piss out of it, there is an element, it should be in your locker a little bit. Like the neo-traditional martial arts, like jiu-jitsu, is kind of that happy medium of our nice little cult we like, where we sort of kind of bow, we kind of don't, we don't call each other sensei, but we still have our own things, like a happy medium. Whereas MMA is like, it's informal, but we kind of still have that. It's still a bit gritty though. As much as a nice polished gym, there's still that the blood stains in the cage. You know what I mean? It's an interesting kind of mix. Now, with your attitude going into jiu-jitsu and martial arts, did you have that same mindset of it's a fight, I'm a cage fighter and I'm training to complement the cage fighting, or were they separate instances when you went training these different disciplines?
Actually, I fell in love with martial arts like in my first karate class when I was a teenager, and I decided that was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and then kind of along the way found all the other stuff and grappling, and fell more in love with that than striking. So every step I've been like, all right, I'm gonna have a fight, like MMA fight. It's like if I get beaten up, it'll make me a better coach, because I'd have done the walk. I'll be able to comfort fighters when they lose. Like there's a positive to that. Like the worst case scenario, there's still a positive, right? I guess the worst case scenario is like horrific injury, but like it doesn't happen too often. Usually it's not too often. But I looked at it, that's like reasonably unlikely. So the worst real case scenario is, you know, I get beaten up in front of a lot of people, but it will give me good experience. And also like my background in traditional martial arts, I hope I'm a nice person. I don't go around looking for conflict at all. I always like the kind of, I think it's actually like an African quote, but it's like walk quietly, carry a big stick. Kind of, I can fight, but I don't want to, right? But then I also thought it'd be so weird if I dedicate my whole life to martial arts and I never have a fight. It's like being a mechanic that never fixed a car, you know? It's like I'm just a theoretical mechanic. I'm a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu University mechanic or whatever it is. So yeah, everything I did, I kind of saw it from the perspective of like personal development and career development is like a win-win. Like, so what if I lose? Who cares?
So much in that. And now it's the whole gardener in a war and warrior in a garden sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's understanding what potential really means. And this is, again, if I could waffle on the whole things about what you have in you, the Carl Jung thing of a tree can't grow to the heights of heaven, the roots are going to the depths of hell. And again, it's understanding what that really means. But there is the ambiguity still of, does your coach have to be a world champion? Does your coach have to be so-and-so? And as much as what you do now is so much more, I don't know, applicable what you've been through, because again, it's not just, okay, there's a guy in a cage, he's going to have a fight, he's going to go home. No, you know you can personify these people. And this is, I feel, gets, again, it's a double-edged sword. You're personifying the fighters. They aren't just athlete A, athlete B. It's, you know, that person, you know, it's, you know, Antonio Luque, you know, it's Stanimir, you know, whoever it is, you know, these people, and you see, okay, shit, you know what they've been through, you get emotionally invested. Like, you must have it yourself with teammates you see fight and compete, you see them win, you're cheering, you see them lose, you're in despair.
Yeah.
Again, how do you find staying that kind of emotionally balanced in the same sort of sense when you're watching people you know fight and commentating those fights?
That's harder, because I feel you go in the cage, and I always felt like it was on me, and I didn't want to let down my coaches and stuff, but it was on me. But I really don't like my students fighting. Like, I feel like jiu-jitsu tournament or whatever, like, as long as you don't get hurt, you get armbarred in round one, you probably will never get caught with that setup again. You'll learn enough from the experience, and it's just in some sports center. But, you know, MMA, guys will come up to me or Danny or whoever, or Raymond, and be like, I want to have an MMA fight, right? And what they're really asking you is, am I good enough to have an MMA fight? And us as coaches, we shouldn't put in someone that we think's going to lose, right? Ever, because they could just get hurt, right? So you're giving that person your feedback as an expert in your industry, saying, actually, I think you are capable of doing this and winning. And then obviously the other coach and the other fighter is doing the same bloody thing. So then if that person goes and has the fight and comes up short, like it's like haunted me. I've lost sleep over it because they didn't get their dream. They didn't get what they wanted. And it was my job to not only prepare them for it, but give my opinion on if they could get it, right? And that can be really hard. So with my fighters, like I have super high standards if they want to fight like under me. And it's put people off, and it's cost me students that have gone to other gyms because I'm like, right, if you want to train under me, here's a 5-day-a-week training schedule. And they're like, what? No, I've got to see my mates. And I was like, fine, not fighting. And they're like, what? And I was like, and also you got to do strength and conditioning. You're going to go to this kettlebells class. You're going to do this. And they go, I don't want to do that. I don't give a shit, right? And then I'm going to monitor your running app, and you're going to run 3 miles every morning. They're like, what? I'm like, you're going to get in a cage where if you lose and get horribly injured, everyone fucking cheers, right? It's the most insane thing in the world. In the street, if you fall over and break your arm, everyone runs to save you, and they're really worried and upset. Because it's in a stadium.
TikTok, but ignore that.
Yeah,
fact, so.
well, yeah, but in a stadium, everyone, they're well excited about it. So, and one of my students, someone I love and respect, I'm going to put them in that situation. Like, they've got to give me so much for me to do that. It's way more emotionally difficult as a coach than a fighter. I was like, I'm a pretty stoic person. Like, I can take it if I lose. I can choose to be happy, but I can't choose my students to be happy, and that's difficult.
Now, the question was more from a commentary position, seeing people you knew fight and seeing.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
But no, but I like the way it went down this side of things instead, because this is where I say ambiguity again of you get your belts, you get your ranking. Am I really this belt? Am I so on and so forth? When you think, okay, I'm going to coach, am I really good enough to be a coach? Well, what I know, I can explain well, they can develop that. It could definitely have some benefit, and so on and so on and so forth. And then the even more ambiguity of, am I ready for a fight? So, well, it depends. If you get another melt who's the same level as you, spot on, no problem. You've got no experience. The pair of you be interesting, like 2 white belts scrapping in the corner, crack on.
Yeah.
Whereas you might get put against some sandbagging guy who's had 1,000,001 like K1 fights and jiu-jitsu competitions, and you get absolutely flatlined. So which one is it? And again, it's on your head, not just as a coach, but as a person. And again, I like a lot of what you said in the sense of you've had to turn people down and they've left as a result of that. I've got so much respect for that, because there's so many people who are quote unquote too nice to say no, and they let them like mindlessly go through the motions. Because again, if you're an amateur fighter listening to this now and you're looking to compete and your coach says no, you're in a good place. And it's hard to appreciate in the moment, because again, I wanted to fight way early on. I would have been just bent over and violated in front of everyone.
I think you should ask them why they're saying no. And then if they go, look, you're not like, I had one kid that left, and he's a great striker, been striking since he's a little kid, but couldn't grapple. And then when it was the grappling part of the MMA class, he'd sit out and he'd be like, oh, I've hurt my knee, I'm tired, right? He just didn't like grappling because everyone tapped him out. And he's like, put me in there. He's like, I'm ready. I'm like, you can't do half of this sport. Like,
I don't get those people. Like, why do you do MMA if you don't like that? Just do boxing, do K1, do MMA, do striking MMA gloves, do something like that. Why MMA? Like, I get if it's not your thing, but then MMA is not your thing then. Which one is it?
You tell your mates you're a cage fighter, or the level of striking in MMA is so much lower than the specifics. I don't know. It's very strange.
Oh, that's a talking point in itself. So one thing I've appreciated more and more from watching MMA is how it just isn't the traditional martial arts. So people see how you do clean boxing, and then you see someone like, I don't know, Deke McLean and Cage Warriors, you see TJ Dillashaw is good for it as well, Dominic Cruz, getting the angles. Again, it's crude from a technical point of view, but the way it develops into MMA, the way things sort of, I don't know, the way it sets certain things up in the angles, everything else, it's so intricate and such like poetry. It's so hard to really appreciate from a traditional point of view. So when you
I don't think it's crude. I think it's super advanced. This is my theory on it. So it was people just doing other martial arts in the cage, right? They were just Thai boxing in small gloves, just boxing in small gloves. The problem is, so I had 5 or 6 boxing fights when I was younger. I fell in love with boxing for a little bit. Boxing is great because you have a cushion to block everything with, right? So every shot that comes, you just stick this big cushion in the way. It's easy to block hooks and stuff, or relatively easy. And it's hard to sneak shots in, even uppercuts, right? Even how wide is a boxing glove? It's really wide, right? It's easy to, not easy, but easier to block it. MMA, and then the consequences of getting hit, there's so much more padding. The chance of getting knocked out are lower, essentially, right? So, and then you do MMA, it's much harder to block small gloves, right? They can sneak through the gap for a hook or whatever easily, sneak through uppercuts much more easily. And then it hurts more. Only got 4 ounces of padding. So the evolution was the Conor McGregor, slightly Lyoto Machida style of things and then Dominic Cruz as well in a different way. It's all footwork. So instead of relying on blocking and catching shots like you would as a boxer, which would be very effective in boxing gloves, you completely rely on movement. And that's like, and then you can have your hands lower because you're not relying on them. So you're better for stuffing takedowns. You can throw from your hips, which is scientifically probably a little bit more powerful than throwing from your chin. And it's like super effective. I think it's very advanced striking. It's just MMA striking has become its completely own discipline now, away from K1 or kickboxing. Or, I mean, if you did those sports with MMA gloves, but then still you would probably have a higher guard because you wouldn't be worried about takedowns. And now the next evolution is, all right, that works. So take the footwork away, just kick the shit out of the calf. But I'm really impressed with the striking level at the moment in MMA.
Absolutely love it. And when I said crude, it's more so in comparison to the traditional sense. Because again, if you go to a boxing sense, very heavy, lead foot slightly turned inwards, and so on and so forth. And
if you watch like a Canelo highlight, it's like amazing.
To pieces. You watch someone's knee, if they're facing like at least forward, you know, that's like that's on a plate. But this is sort of the point, though. This is where the strategy comes into it. Because again, hands low seems a bit sacrilegious almost. It gets like, oh, we can't be doing that. But no, it's takedowns, being aware of things. And again, it's the further planning of what else could happen. We were talking about probability earlier, where if we start a fight, me and you, bell goes, Paul Nichols in the middle says, "You're a fight, you ready? Cool. How many options could we have from that point onwards? Infinite. Whereas if I get a takedown or you take me down, well, you pull guard on me, and I get I'm in your close guard.
Roll. How dare you?
Hey, I'm Amy still. You can't heel hook me.
Oh yeah, shit.
I can play dumb. I can go. I do the Brazilian tap thing. You sort of turn your knee and was, you got me, heel hook. See you later, chief. DQ. Boa. Muito obrigado, Jesus. Boa. But anyway, we ignore that bit. I would just, if people are just toxic when they want to do that kind of way of winning. If you're stalling, it's not a win. You survive.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We'll lose those fans straight away. We'll get this. But what was my point with this? Again, the limited options, because again, when we're in your closed guard, we have loads of options still, but less than we did a minute ago, and then probability and so on and so forth. And this is why MMA striking the way it is so interesting, because again, you're getting these sort of stance, which is again, you create new opportunities and more could happen, and it keeps on happening and expanding. Whereas with boxing and other martial arts, in its infant state and its intricacy as it is, you only have those kind of parameters. Obviously there's variables, but a lot less. But one thing with that you sort of touched on, which I absolutely love, is what MMA, how it started, about the boiling point. Every martial art, we see what works, stick with what works. We have MMA. People going straight to MMA, not the individual disciplines. Do you feel people will still bother with individual disciplines in 10 years from now? Or do you think it was going to be pure MMA for MMA's sake?
I think the individual disciplines have grown because of MMA. And you can tell me if this is similar at BST. Maybe it's a slightly different gym, but there's Oxford Shoot Fighters, which is spin-off London Shoot Fighters. This huge gym in Oxford, and you've got all these students, and like they get hundreds of students through the door to come do MMA. And the MMA class is always tiny. It's always the same 10 guys, because they try MMA, and these 30 guys love striking, these 30 guys love wrestling, and these 30 guys love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and these other 20 go and do yoga or just do bodybuilding. or maybe half of them are just not into conflict sports, and they're like, I don't want to do this. But so MMA just feeds all those other individual things, because everyone that comes and does jiu-jitsu and they try my class, and they always ask, at the end of it, I go over and I'm like, did you enjoy the class? And they're always like, yeah, it was great. And I'm like, if you didn't like it, you can tell me you didn't like it, because sometimes you can just tell they didn't like it. I'm like, a sweaty man sat on you, right? And then tried to choke you unconscious. It's okay not to like that.
That's just Saturday
I'm
night.
weird. Yeah, I'm super weird because to me that's fun, right? But if you were like, I didn't like that at all, I'd be like, cool. There's a great Thai boxing gym down the road. That might be your speed. Yeah, that's I think the traditional stuff. Maybe I think Aikido and Kung Fu and stuff are already dying, but the effective traditional martial arts will grow because of MMA, I think.
Oh, you worded that very well, but I heard that. I know exactly what that was. Oh, the twisted. They're dying, but the effective martial arts are still going strong. I heard exactly what you said.
No, I spent years and years and years doing kata and fighting invisible ghosts in a sports hall. So I'm an expert on it as well. And I teach like kids karate, but I teach this like bastardized version where we do like a
wax on, wax off.
We do a little bit of the traditional stuff, and like we bow and they're very respectful, and we teach like self-defense, and I do little talks on how to avoid conflict and that kind of thing. And then we do Thai leg kicks, and we do rear naked chokes, and we do hip throws, and they don't, as far as all my students and the parents are concerned, they're doing karate. Which karate just means open hand way, and that's what we're doing. No weapons. That's it. Apart from that, it's like I'm doing. Why would I teach? I was never that great at karate anyway. Why would I teach that? Why would you have a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt karate instructor that didn't show you any grappling? What a waste that would be. So it's like I'm going to do everything.
I think you realize. I don't think you realize how good that was. You end up saying grappling, not jiu-jitsu. I think that's spot on. Dan Strauss does this.
I'm with you.
I think it's so spot on because again, if you hit a double leg. Hypothetically, in that super fight in purple belt back in the glory days, is that a jiu-jitsu technique or is it a wrestling technique? It's both because it's grappling.
Yeah,
it's the
I want to drop Brazilian. I think Brazilian's stupid. I like when you get to black belt, you can say shit like that. No.
We had the American jiu-jitsu thing, so now we're British jiu-jitsu. We're still BJJ. It's the dream. Love to
when you get to black belt, you will have a very individual style, right? So the Dan Lester Jiu-Jitsu. So you're 6'2", so you're going to do lots of triangles, probably. I'm going to assume, and also you got an MMA background, so you can teach some cage wrestling and some other stuff. Yeah, that other people can't do. You probably got better takedowns than most Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts by that point. So
I'll quote you on that. That's fine. We're gone.
You do Dan Lester Jiu-Jitsu or Dan Lester grappling or Dan Lester submission wrestling. It shouldn't be. Why the Brazilian? All the Brazilians did was they did judo and just made the time limit longer. That was it. In judo, you got 30 seconds. They're like, have ages, have 20 minutes. That's all they did different. I don't get the Brazilian dick riding. It's like they all. This is like let me go on around. They all sleep with their students.
Yep.
Right, they're all psychopaths. They
don't pay for anything. They just say it's just all business. They're all brothers. But no, one thing with this, we'll try and salvage. We'll caveat saying that was a joke and satire. And
I'm gonna have someone royally cut up my black belt, but never mind.
Anyone who isn't aware, this is like a sort of Alan Partridge-esque David Brent kind of.
I'm under Roger Gracie and Mauricio Gomez, and I love them both. So
it's satire. Everyone at satire just laugh. But no, there is an element of the ambiguity in the sense of. Say when I was a blue belt versus someone else who's a blue belt, we are the same grade, but we're very different levels with different games. Like, for example, a blue belt, I was prolific triangles, but let's not start from the feet. I don't want to talk about that. Whereas they might be like a D1 wrestler or white belt, but he smashes me in.
That's every tall person can't wrestle. John Jones just fucked us.
I can now, just about to an extent, but like English standard, maybe
if you were a foot shorter, you'd be good at wrestling.
I'm like I'll say a 3.5, 4-stripe white belt in wrestling. I want to say, like
you got me beat.
If I've got a bit of gumption, a bit of I can drive. I love an arm. I tell you what, Ash Williams is game changer for this. Arm drag, arm drag, single legs, arm drag, double legs.
He's a monster.
Low risk, high reward. A wonderful thing. Thank you.
I did get trained with it. I got taken down with that very technique by the little short ass. So yeah. I agree.
If everyone's not familiar with Ash Williams, that little short ass is one of the best grapplers in the UK and Europe, and he is a monster. If you try and straight line lock him, his foot's on the floor. He doesn't flinch.
Yeah, but he is Welsh, so
Yeah,
Can't have everything.
Maybe it's an inbreeding thing. Who knows? So as I said, that I like him a lot. He's top boy. Well, where are we going to go with? But before we offend literally everyone on this.
Yeah, I got a racist. No, all right, not racist, but okay. We're going to rebrand Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu submission wrestling because it's got Russian footlocks and quite a lot of Japanese in it. I mean, Jiu-Jitsu is a Japanese word. And then Iranian wrestling and Greco-Roman wrestling and like there's some like British folk wrestling in there as well or something.
No one be that guy who uses Japanese names to describe techniques. Don't go Juju Katana because you'll be on your own.
Inside Sankaku or whatever it is.
Yeah, you fucking.
But yeah, so we've got to rebrand it, and then we've got to take away belts. This is definitely got to happen, right? So the amount of students I've seen, a lot of people stay because of the belts, right? Because it is a nice reward, and I'm proud to be a Roger Gracie black belt. But the amount of people I've seen over my years, not in my club, but in other clubs, leave because they didn't get the belt. It was taking too long. Bob got his belt first, whatever. I hate football, but if I love football and I was in a Sunday league squad, I wouldn't just play football every week because I wanted a black t-shirt one day, right? I would just do it because it's fun to play football. I think jiu-jitsu people obsess about the belts and stripes and stuff, and probably I did exactly the same, so it's hard for me to judge, but I think there'd be something for taking away the belts and then just having ranks. You know, if you win this many competitions, you go up a league, So you could say I'm a League One guy, and then you don't have to worry about giving out black belts to people just because they've done it forever, but they can't fight.
That was you dropped a diamond there, and this is an Ash Williams thing again. To go back to this, like at school, you don't get the grades for just showing up, and this is so spot on. The fact you didn't longer, because I hate that expression of it's not who's the best, it's who's left. It's saying, well, that's the minimum. You still have to improve in that time you're there. So I love that a lot. But one thing as well, again, there's so much with that. I feel with the bells, it's what they embody. Like, it's not so much the literal material around your waist, a shirt, a representation. I mean,
if you're into it.
Well, the jiu-jitsu all the time is no eye contact. That's all you need to know. That's fine.
With a black belt, that's a compliment as well. That's like a high level whipping. I got the wrist distraction.
If you want to get cancelled, that's the way to go about it, I feel. But again, it's the hierarchy thing, though, isn't it? Because again, you see the pecking order. So you go from either think you're hard as nails and you get humbled, or you think you're made of glass and you realize, okay, I'm actually solid, I'm here. And then you start building up and building your confidence. You get these hierarchies, albeit ambiguous, albeit all over the place. But we know when you get the nod from your instructor for the next belt, it's the best thing ever. But again, it's appreciating what that value is as a structure. Because with wrestling and other things like that, where there's open leagues and they kind of mishmash together, they don't have the same kind of ranking system, so it loses that kind of value. And as much as, yes, they're unnecessary, yes, they're excessive, I can't help but feel it adds that layer of value to it. Because again, you getting a black belt versus you training for the time you have anyway, like, what's the difference? The fact you managed to be given these stages of your reference point, of your progression, like, would you get rid of it full stop, knowing what you know now? Just on
it's more of for me it worked because I stuck with it, right? It's just a frustration of seeing great people leave or become frustrated. And I think if we're going to keep the belt system, us as instructors, we have to be more accessible. And I think part of the respect that goes with the belt system and so on can make it seem like it's worse in traditional martial arts, I think, but in jiu-jitsu as well. Like, I feel like the black belt is kind of treated, that's the word, with too much like reverence, right? It's just, I'm just good at choking people, right? And I'm not even that good at it, like, compared to other people. I'm just pretty good at it compared to you, right? And the thing is, if I go see my GP, right? My GP studied for 7 years medicine, and then X amount of years to become a GP, and then it's got 10 years experience, right? That person is amazing, right? And to me and you, they're just a GP, right? I'd be polite, but like...
Yeah, but again, in their world, it's what they've put the rest of their time, and we don't appreciate what that means, but we know, okay, it's taken X amount of time, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, but in jiu-jitsu, I feel like black belts are treated like too well for their position. And this is why black belts take advantage of, and like, I'm making a joke earlier about Brazilians, but it's not just Brazilians, but well, black belts end up sleeping with half their students is because they're in this position of power and all. So you have this position of power because I decide if you get your belt, right? So you got to be nice to me. So even subconsciously, you might suck up a little bit, right? I'm sure you wouldn't, but like somebody would. And even if you try not to do it, you're naturally going to do it. You're going to, if liking someone is beneficial to you, your brain will find a way to like them, right? So you're sucking up to this person straight away. And then that person, they wear a big sign around their waist saying, I'm the alpha in this room, right? And not only are they the alpha in this room with this big baboon ass belt, right?
Mm.
They then beat up everyone, most likely, right? So they're the alpha, and then they fuck everyone up.
A validated alpha as well, because again, it's not even
Yeah.
like a posturing thing. Literally, okay, here it's confirmed,
Yeah.
universally agreed as well, not just like an in-house thing.
Yeah, and so they end up with this so much like power and authority over their students. It can be limiting for the students because they might not feel like they can approach them, or they're like they have to be extra nice to them or something, or they can be taken advantage of by an instructor that isn't such a nice person. And I think everyone assumes your instructor's gonna be nice because of old kung fu movies where they sit below a waterfall and they're enlightened. But you know, most people just do jiu-jitsu a long time because they like choking people. So maybe they're not the nicest people in the world all the time, right? So it's this awkward position. And I think us as instructors, and I tell you this speech to my students probably like once a month, I go, I work for you. It's like, you pay my mortgage, right? You literally pay my mortgage. You are the reason I have food on the table. I want to do everything I can to make you happy. But remember, I work for you, right? If you don't feel like you're progressing, that's my fault, right? And you need to come and talk to me. If you feel like you should have got a belt and you didn't, that's my fault. Come and talk to me. It's like, maybe I overlooked you. Maybe I have a reason. I was like, but I'm not keeping some secret reason. You have to figure it out. And there's like some subtext to it. It's like, no. I work for you. You have to come and talk to me. What it should be is that the black belt around your waist gives you the alpha position and the instructor position, so you don't have to do all the horse shit that goes with it and prove you're the alpha. You can be vulnerable and you can be open with your students because you don't have to prove you're the alpha anymore. And that's what I get out of it, and that's why I do in some ways like the belt. But I think it's this weird, like, frustrating thing for me.
Well, again, I'll say this again. I really took a lot from what you were saying then. Again, interrupt me if I'm getting anything wrong with this. And I feel what we said earlier with the GP thing about someone investing that amount of time and you respect their position in, but again, that's where they put their time. We've got our time. We know where our value is. And again, we assign the value. The value doesn't come from the things themselves, but where the value is really held is because it's been earned. We know it's been earned. There's no stolen valor there. But if someone whacks on a black, we said the fake black belt's been exposed on YouTube sort of thing. And the reason it rubs you the wrong way is because you know what's gone into it. And this is the sort of the flip side of over respecting is also understanding what's gone into it. Because when people listen to this conversation, don't quite get the context of this. It's understanding what has gone into it, but appreciating the world beyond that and appreciating the bigger picture. And what I absolutely loved was the Oscar Wilde-esque, if I have seen further because of the shoulders of giants, the fact you've done the grunt work, you've done the, I fucking hate this, I've stuck with it, I'm going to keep doing that, and here I am now. Any questions you've got, ask me, because I've hit those potholes. I'll tell you where they are. And I'll tell you about the one you keep hitting, or you can just figure out on your own. But I'm going to make sure you can ask me, because then you can speed up, and then you can surpass me, and then I can like clickbait off your name and get pictures with you and get a UFC career off you or jiu-jitsu titles off you. Be swimming in SIE.
And I think my students are confused. Sometimes I see them doing a move that they learnt on YouTube or some gym they went to on holiday or something. I'll be like, "That's cool. Can you show me that? Can you show me that?" And then I'll probably be practicing on them, and they'll be like, "You don't know this?" I'm like, "No, like that's cool. I've learned something new today. Like that's great." Whereas I think other instructors are like, "Oh, that shit, someone else taught you. Like, if it's not mine, it's it's not worth doing." Yeah, it is weird because I'm incredibly proud of achieving it and sticking with it so long. And I had like goals from the very beginning. I was like, I'm going to win the British Open at every belt. That was my goal. And a black belt, I've only won it as a master, but I achieved that. And
clang. So I picked it back up.
Oh no, me and the pensioners, we're rocking.
Oh, the weight of the world on my shoulders. World champion.
But yeah, like I mean, I'm very proud of it. But then I've just seen along the way. I think the problem is, I think maybe I got into martial arts and I was looking for the kind of Zen in the waterfall, and all I found was, slightly disappointingly, just a bunch of slightly broken people, especially in traditional martial arts. Like my first karate instructor, I was fully in the cult. This is why I probably reject the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu cult so much. I was fully in the karate cult, and I was like, this guy, he's like unbeatable, and he's talking about all these street fights he had, and then I got to know him personally when I was getting to the higher belts, and I just realized he was mental. He did like assault with his wife, and he was a doorman, and all these. Oh, I did this kick. He's just kicking drunk people in the head. And what I was so impressed by was so deeply disappointing. And like, so I was like, I came up with this thing for myself, and I was like, I want to. No one's impressed by their own achievements anymore, right? So I'm not like, oh, I'm a black belt like every morning. Like I'm used to it, right? So it doesn't seem so impressive to me, and I achieved it, so it doesn't seem so impressive to me. So I have this thing where I'm trying to impress the like 14-year-old me, right? I'm like, would he be impressed that I got a black belt in a martial art, and I won some cage fights, and I have a cool car and a nice house and a hot wife? And I'm like, yeah, I think he'd be pretty fucking stoked with that. Like, so like that's my kind of attitude towards it.
That's so good. There's a thing I've quoted this book quite a lot. Is Happy by Darren Brown, and there's something he talks about that sort of in a film idea. We seem to think that once we achieve said goal, we're then off in the sunset, roll credits. That's the end of everything.
Yeah,
but that's not how things work. And again, I can imagine similar to black belt sort of thing, because again, you'll get your brown belt, you're thinking, oh, we're in reaching distance now. And when it comes along, you get around your waist from Roger, you think, do you know what? I get my superpowers now.
It's deeply disappointing. I don't want to upset anyone, but that whole like it's about the journey. It really is, because you'll get that belt, and I had it with my karate belt and then my jiu-jitsu belt, and even with MMA belts, title belts and stuff. It's such a goal and dream, and then you get it, and you're like, oh, okay, like now it becomes very normal to you very quickly. And like, yeah, after both my martial arts black belts, I had a couple of days of being happy, and then a week or two of being pretty depressed, to be honest.
Because this is a thing in I think it's Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel, what's his name, about it's not just what we perceive, it's what we perceive these things to give us. And again, it's the bigger picture. And when it comes to the disappointment there, a very interesting thing is, if you knew what you knew now, would you still go through that journey? Would you still go through the sort of the blue belts, the purple belts, the grind mentality? And the thing is, if you labeled everything you've achieved so far versus the amount of effort, amount of hours you put in for it, that conversion doesn't seem worth it. Because again, a fight camp is 9 minutes in a cage for 12 weeks of work. Why would you do 12 weeks of work for 9 minutes? And on top of your actual like work anyway. If anyone's asking, 9 minutes is a very long time, so I'll quote you on that. That's fine.
Yeah. It's just a title fights, buddy. 5 rounds.
but the principle being is that's not really the point. The achievements, again, we assign the value. You can buy belts from a custom made place and they'll send you one. Look, I'm a champion of the world of whatever it is, but that's not the point. It really is. And this is the beauty of the sort of thing in itself. And I like the way you're being honest about this, because my version of that is the fight against Paul McManus. You see me win, you see me shout, I'm cheering, I love it. I was over it before my hand was put down.
Yeah.
I was was that it? Was that it? After the sting of the losses, was that it? And this is what sort of started the sort of reading as such and looking into these questions, because again, do I want to go back-to-back fight camps? Do I want to compete and get plastic medals and then tell everyone I'm a fighter, even though I'm just going to fight under controlled rule set with a referee? Like, is it really the point? But again, it's understanding where the value systems come into it. And I like the way I don't know, when you said about people dipped off because of the belts, you're disappointed about that. I feel they probably weren't people who would have made that step, because again, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. Because again, if people are very oriented around the hierarchy and the belt system, I feel that's more of an ego thing, that I need that validation of myself that I'm progressing. I need that validation that I am this person, this sort of imposter syndrome. Because again, when you're a black belt and you get submitted and you get schooled by Roger, do you still feel like I am that same savage? Or do you think, do you know what? Oh, fuck this.
I've got to be, and like broadly, I think it's where the stoicism thing comes in. Like, you know, everything you need to be happy is within you, right? You don't actually need to win belts or get things tied around you. But the secret, the dirty little secret,
what else are you getting tied around you?
I don't know.
Belts and things. What's the and thing? I'm missing something.
The dirty secret of jiu-jitsu is everyone taps, like, and like black belts tap to blue belts. Like, people won't admit it, but they do. And like, you think about I'm bad at football. I don't know any football teams. Let's say Oxford United. I assume they're pretty shit, right? They play Man United, all right, and they have to play them 10 times, right? So every time Man U's getting 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 goals, right? Let's say over those 10 matches, Oxford managed to score 1, right? That's not unbelievable. Well, they like good bit of play. Man, you got distracted. And we go, oh, yeah, but the score was whatever, 1, you know, over the 10 games, 81, right? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because the tap out is considered like death, right? You had your arm snap, you're choked unconscious. We look at every tap as like an individual thing. It's not like a points score. So the thing, like, I can't do jiu-jitsu, and especially I'm getting older, you know, I've got 4 kids, I'm a busy man. I can't be in super shape all the time, but I want to do this sport that I love. And so I'm going to get tapped out. Everyone gets tapped out. And I think that black belts don't talk about enough, but like, I think 2 weeks after getting my black belt, I was at the 10th Planet School, and I don't know all the students very well, right? So I know there's this brown belt over there. He's a bit of a savage. He's won a few comps. So I'm rolling with this little blue belt, probably like a 65 kilo blue belt, and I'm 100 kilos. And I'm in his guard, and I'm watching someone else, right? So I can see what his game is. Right? I'm completely writing off this person in front of me, who then triangles the shit out of me, right? And 2 weeks after getting my black belt, I got tapped out by a 65 kilo blue belt. And I was like, shit.
Now, I don't think you realize how good that analogy was with the football teams, because what happens when Premier League teams fight lower level teams in like group competitions, what they tend to do is put like B players out, like C players, people who sit on the bench, and by doing that, by not playing your A game and get complacent, you then get conceded points, albeit passing your guard or getting submitted. And again, I like literally that. You were complacent, and again, you're prioritizing something else, maybe even playing a B game, being in someone else's guard. And again,
you play the B game all the time. Why would I go roll with a 65 kilo blue belt and do like my A game is like butterfly sweep, knee on belly, probably a triangle or an armbar from there, right? And I have once swept Roger Gracie with a butterfly sweep, right? It's a good sweep for me, right? That's what I get all points at black belt level competition with. To go with a 65 kilo blue belt and play that would be so stupid, right? Number one, yes, I'm going to win, right? Number two, he gets nothing out of it. I get nothing out of it. I'm just doing my A game against someone that can't stop it. But I could go play with him and jump into 50-50 leg lock position, right? Where my weight doesn't really help with much of an advantage. It might be a disadvantage in that position because I've got long legs. They're going to be sticking in under his armpit. And play leg locks with this 10th Planet dude. Now, I'm much more ready to get tapped out by a blue belt, and everyone's like, oh no, but you're a black belt, you shouldn't. It's like, who gives a shit? It's just, I don't care. I really, like, it used to be I said I didn't care, but I really did. Now I actually, like, I don't care as long as I learned something from it. All right, he caught me with a heel hook. All right. What I will often do then is be like, can you do the same position, but just hold it? And then I'll be like, all right, what should I do from here? I'll figure out the escape. If I can't, I even get video it, ask someone else, be like, how would you get out of this? And then I'll learn from the experience. And like, cool, I got tapped, but I got better. Like, happy days.
Now, again, there's one thing in that I thought was quite funny is the values we're assigning to stuff and the tapping, how tapping literally means nothing. Now, if we're drilling a technique and you tap to the submission we're drilling, that has the exact same amount of value as tapping in sparring. But the fact we've assigned, oh no, because I was actually trying and everything else, no, neither mean anything.
This is why I think the best thing you can do is specific training in your classes. So like me and you, we roll and you get to start in mount, right? If you tap me, there's no ego because you didn't really tap a black belt because you didn't get mount on me in the first place, right?
So you didn't earn position. That's the whole EBI thing as well.
Yeah, right. And so even if we've all got a little ego and it's difficult, so I'm free to try loads of different mount escapes because if you catch me, it doesn't matter. So I can be
in the back of the head as well.
I can experiment, I can play. So with my students, I will often say, right, we're going to start side control. Guy on the bottom, you have to lose. And they'll be like, what? And I was like, you can resist, but you have to lose. And they're like, well, like that doesn't make sense. I'm like, yeah, but the guy on top, you've got to let him like practice and get some reps in with a resisting opponent. What I'm actually doing is giving them freedom on the bottom to try stuff they wouldn't normally try because they don't have to worry because they're going to lose. So like you can have as much fun as you want then if you don't care about the result.
There was a lecture, I think it was one of Jordan Peterson's ones that I thought was so prominent, especially with jiu-jitsu sort of side of things. And so in that lecture, part of it was rats will play fight. And when rats play fight, unless they're winning at least around about 30% of the time, they won't play back. And what one rat will do is they'll go easier, so the other person will start playing back. And I love that as well. And one thing why this gets so interesting, consistent, is what you're saying there about being the black belt, you could smash everyone. Well, not everyone, obviously people in the class in certain degrees.
Yeah.
But if you did that all the time, it'd be very boring. And the same way, if you've ever played like a role-playing game when you build up your attributes as the game goes along, or old school Superman where you used to be so overpowered it was boring.
Yep.
When you start adding resistance, okay, there's a bit of variance now. Now it gets exciting. Now I'm getting engaged. It's the whole Schopenhauer thing for fulfillment. It's ability versus challenge. And it's like, as long as you're on that happy XY axis of I'm getting challenged enough that I'm not bored, that's too easy, or it's not too hard that I'm getting overwhelmed, you get that nice flow state. And it's
that can be one of the curses of getting good at jiu-jitsu is it's harder to get that flow state because
the weight of the world on your shoulders being too good for everyone.
No, because
I know
right?
what you meant. I'm just taking the piss.
So if I'm having a really intense game of chess, I'm not thinking about anything else. My mind is like focused on that. How can I beat this motherfucker? Right? I start swearing at the phone. It's the same with rolling, right? I brought books on like meditation, and I tried so hard. I like doing it every day, and I just couldn't. It just like I got nothing out of it, right? I kind of sat there and I tried lots of different types, got nothing out of it.
I'm an hour.
Yeah, just I'm in an hour and wasting my time. And then I was rolling with someone good. And at the end of it, I was like, oh, I feel great. And I was like, oh, it's because I'm letting all my other thoughts go. All I am is jiu-jitsu at that moment. I'm not thinking about the wife that's in a mood with me, my kids I got to pick up from school, my business, anything else. I'm so in the moment. But the problem is when you start jiu-jitsu, you can have that every round. But now if I'm rolling with a white belt that's smaller than me, say, I can be going at 20% and smoke him if I have to. And so I'm not in the Zen state too often. And I miss it. I miss being able to do, that was why I love training every day. It was like mental rest almost. But yeah, and that's the problem. I can't just, if I rock into the normal class now in Aylesbury where I live, 80% of the class are white and blue belts, and I can't, and there are blue belts and white belts that can push me, obviously MMA fighters and so on, but most of them can't. So maybe I get one round where I feel like that day where I get pushed enough that I'm in that flow, and I really miss it. So I have to drive to London, and it's one of those things about getting better. It's a bit of a curse. You don't have that as often.
But there's so much with that, which is so underappreciated, is that kind of active meditation. Because a lot of people say they don't practice that kind of stuff. It's wishy-washy. And to an extent it is if you don't understand what it means and how to apply it. And that if you're in a state where all you're thinking about is the task at hand, that's kind of a form of meditation. It's not necessarily the aftermath kind of reflection of, okay, I did this today, I did that, and so on and so forth. It's more so, okay, right now in this podcast, I'm looking at you, I'm talking to you, listening to what you're saying. I'm not waiting for you to finish. I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm engaged. My phone's put to one side. The Xbox is in another room. Focused. It's not, I've got everything going on. We're trying to catch up. And then whilst you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, it's almost finished now. I need to catch back in again. It's that kind of air of being present. And a lot of people, especially with social media, it's so hard to be present. And this is why I feel part of the cultiness of jiu-jitsu, and again, why jiu-jitsu saved my life. And again, it's a platform. That's all it is. It's a platform where you can be engaged and be focused on one thing. And the nature of when you're under pressure, like you can't be thinking about the mortgage when you're getting, armbarred by, I don't know, Alex Smith, or getting out of suit, just manhandled by Daniel Lewis. Again, Daniel Lewis, I haven't been arm triangle manhandled like that in a while. And it's just,
he is very good.
I said to him after, said that was horrible, and please, how much can I pay you to teach me how to do that? But
he's one of the most technically like sound coaches there is. Like he's like I was saying before at the beginning, like my jiu-jitsu is a lot about feel, and I kind of have to deconstruct it to be able to teach it sometimes, whereas he is so analytical, and it makes him such a good coach. He's like, and very good at himself. Like, and for years he struggled with competition, but he seems to have dealt with that as well, which is like, it's very impressive. He kept going back, like talk about full 7 times get up 8. He's like, he'd like smoke everyone in the gym, be a monster, and then do badly at competition, like nerves and whatever. And then a brown belt just rocks up to the British and then wins his division and wins the absolute, just out of nowhere. Just savage.
But I feel it's again, it's another skill in itself, and that's part of these sort of conversations. And where you were saying about people in the gym, much like Daniel there, and again, other people where you roll with them, you spar with them, and think, fucking hell, why are you not on this world stage then? And on the day they don't show up. But again, it's another layer of that skill. It's another layer of application. The same idea being that if we're having a flow roll and you see me doing technical transitions, I'm at this level. But if we actually roll, I can't do any of it. What does that actually mean? So again, it's that sort of translation and application is where it gets so much more I don't know, because again, it's so ambiguous, and I'll keep saying that word because it's so prominent in the sport. Like, if you're drilling, this is so painfully white belt. I remember when I first saw scissor sweep, I was like, "Fucking hell, it's like a secret move." Like, yeah, if I'm in guard, it's done. It's done.
I've won.
And not being funny, when you're against other white belts in the gym, you're like, "Do you know what? It actually works. I'm actually spot on. I am John Wick, so I'm here."
I got a good one for you. So I'm starting my MMA club. So all these guys are kickboxers, and we've got this judo instructor teaching, and but it's like long ground rounds, and she's got like an Eddie Bravo book and some other shit. She's teaching.
Is it a book or is it just like Nate the Weed or what?
No, it's a book, but it was like the old school book before his proper books. I can't remember. But and she's teaching us, and they got this like weird hybrid grappling style, right? And I was kind of watching UFC and stuff, becoming aware of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I was like, all right, I need to do the actual Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu thing on top. And I was like, my little kickboxing and MMA club, I was the best grappler there. I just kind of took to it more naturally than the other guys, and they were all better at kickboxing than me, so it made sense to focus on the grappling. So I was like, do extra training. I was like, where's there a gym? So Gracie Baja Birmingham was like the nearest one, an hour's drive. So I drive there, I walk in, there's Braulio Estima, Victor Estima, and a couple of other guys.
Tombala probably at that point.
Tombar, yeah, it's just monsters everywhere. And they're teaching a little bit and whatever. And they go, right, we're going to do specific side control. And they go, tall guy, yes, right, you go on him. So they're like, you go on Victor Estima, like world champion. I was like, I didn't know who he was. I was like, shit, I'm a white belt, first time ever wearing a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gi. So I put him in, I put him in scarf hold, right, full judo. Kezakatami. And he looks at me from like laying on his back and goes, you don't want to do that. And I looked down at Victor Estima, just like haunts me to this day, and went, I know what I'm doing. I was convinced I was going to smoke him. I thought I must be at least a brown or black belt. And obviously, he then just beat the shit out of me. And then like over and over, like in a nice way, he wasn't horrible, but he just beat the crap out of me. And and then I was like, oh, wow, he must be good. And then the white belts beat me up, and I was like, oh shit, I'm terrible.
That's so perfect. It's the whole like naivety sort of. You think you know.
I'm like 20. You know, I had already had an MMA fight. Done loads of karate and boxing and stuff.
This is my first rodeo. Don't worry, cowboy.
I'll show this guy. He doesn't even know what's hit him. These guys, they're seals up.
That's it. A real fight wouldn't work, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say then he grabbed my foot and then broke it.
No, it's steamer lock. No, this is before then.
And principle. Oh, that's incredible. There's a few things to sort of touch on before I let you enjoy your evening. Battle Arena. Obviously, we've sort of touched on it about your experience working with them, and now the whole Sky. Is it a deal? Is it a brand? What is the actual Sky collaboration partnership?
Yeah, so Sky have launched a new TV channel, which is mostly it's just a new sports channel essentially. And there's various things going on there, but Battle Arena is one of them. So at the moment, what we're doing to kind of build up the brand and noise around Battle Arena is we're putting out some like best of episodes essentially. So me and Steve went up to Manchester. We recorded some episodes. So we're basically watching fights, talking in between. We got some ring girls going out and visiting gyms and stuff. And putting it all into TV shows, and it's just highlights the first few episodes. So it'd be great if you want to watch some awesome fights, and like if you've got me and Steve, so it's like the story behind some of the fights of, this guy was a last minute replacement and stubbed out his cigarette and 2 minutes later walked in the cage and then knocked the guy out and like that kind of thing. Mostly professionalism.
It's gangster. Clint Eastwood energy.
Yeah, the guy was a beast.
Did he spit the cigarette out, or did he just drop it, or do you grind out with his foot?
He stomped on it and then went, found a gum, went to a sports shop and bought a gum shield, borrowed a groin guard, and then this is heavyweight. He couldn't fit in anyone's shorts, so went and bought a pair of spats and walked in the cage with a pair of spats that said Kapow on, and then knocked the dude out.
Oh, I've seen that fight. That's quality.
Yeah,
but with, it feels eerily similar to Fight Law on UFC Fight Pass, but I'm just going to throw it out there. But
what's going to happen? This is just to build up the like presence or whatever.
Oh yeah.
What's going to happen with the show coming up in June. I should be dropping dates here, but I don't know. But
July 9th, 10th, and something else.
Thank you, Dan Lester.
One's a pro fight card, one's a high-level Emmy card, I think. I don't know if that's the same show, and then one's a...
Oh, we got some amazing matchups. I can't really reveal too many yet, but...
The problem with that is one's a high-level amateur card. so you hear that, but then there's another card like next to it. What does that mean?
I think the high level one is all title fights essentially. That's what it is.
I was going to say, like, careful on your word. I think, all right, I don't want to fight another card now.
You've got to earn your high level status. But yeah, at that show, me and Steve are going to have a full film crew following us around. We're going to be going backstage, interviewing fighters. We're going to have, and then we'll be recording, introducing the fights and things like that. It won't be going out live on Sky. It will then be edited and put all together with the interviews, like really slick production, and then it will go out a week or two later on Sky TV. And I think it's going to be like, it's pretty. The production team behind it's pretty damn good, and like I think the only weak link is me and Steve because we don't know what we're doing.
Now, obviously being modest there, but one thing with James Price, I've got so much time.
You say I'm being modest. I was in the Sky TV studio last week with people going, go. And I was like, and do what?
The only difference between you and the people who know what they're doing is they're lying.
Yeah.
Put it this way.
You're a good talker, right? If I said to you, right, I need you to talk in front of these 5 cameras and this full film crew, right? You're going to say, welcome back from the break, right? And then you're going to do 3 minutes of perfect banter where every time you talk, you're going to keep looking witty banter off the top of your head. And every time you're going to look at the third person in the room, which is the camera. So you have to keep referencing the camera and then coming back. And then when you finish, you have to say the name of these 3 fighters. Don't mess up their names. It's very important. And then you have to say, coming up after the break, these highlights. And then we cut to that and go. And you're like, fuck.
The problem is with my sense of humor, I'll do it so like. Have you seen This Time with It's Time with Alan Partridge, where it's like the One Show ripoff kind of thing? It's just pure cringe. I've do it so intentionally wrong. I'm like, aha, and then it take a bit too long to pan. And then I got the wrong one.
It was like that, but not intentional, buddy. The first episode I think might be a bit sketchy, but after that, after one episode, like because we recorded like 4 episodes in a day. After the first episode, like got into a rhythm and like had a bit more like relaxed conversation or whatever, and it got good. But it to go from commentating where you can stop talking, you can do whatever you want, really, right? Like you're pretty.
Well, you're saying what you see. You're not singing.
Yeah. And like thing is, commentating sometimes there's a live stream going out and we have to like keep talking. Because the live stream's going, but we're just chatting about, oh, what's Khabib going to do this weekend or whatever. Like, it's not too difficult. But yeah, I found it a new challenge, but I'm really glad to be doing it. The sad thing is I can't commentate anymore, which is really disappointing. But
is one a result of the other, or is that just a separate thing with your time?
We're going to be on as the fights are happening, we're going to be going around with the film crew, filming fighters, post-fight and stuff like that. So it's really, I love commentating. I completely love it. Announcing not so much, but commentating like is the shit. So
I'd hate to announce because like on a podcast, if I mumble and stutter, it's a bit funny. I can make a joke of it. But when it's just me talking really loud, and I've not got that announcer American kind of voice, I can't do my bit. And the English equivalents make me want to die. I'm not going to name names, but you see them on some high-profile shows, and it's just like, oh, you do you.
I'm not too bad, Emma. Give me an honest review because I was honest in your fight. You've got to give me an honest.
If I had a comment to say, I would have said it at some point. I would have wound you up for it. It's the whole thing of it's a truth in jest. If I thought it was like a bit naff or a bit weird, I would make some sort of joke. But no, it wasn't like, you know, it didn't stand out as something to take the piss out of. It was good. It was good standard.
The first time it happened, I turned up and they go, Chris, like James comes up to me. He's like, Chris, the announcer hasn't turned up. Can you announce the fights and commentate? It was like, doing both is an issue because an announcer, you want to be sat on the side, you know, making sure you're going to say the right name, you know, flirting with the ring girl, whatever it is you do, right? And to like announce and then run to the commentary booth and then commentate. And then sometimes the fights be over in 10 seconds. I sit down like shit and then run back.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you because this is the only thing I think when you're doing MC and think, who's doing commentary then? But
Steve is talking on his own at that point.
I was going to say, I was thinking, okay, how are you managing that? But then I remember hearing you sometimes like, okay, I'm back now. And you hear the headphone noise like sort of clanging about. Okay, here we are, we're back on now.
The first time I did it, I've never done that before. I'd like doing MMA commentating because it's like my area of expertise, so I can just sit and do what I like doing. Announcing, I was like, I teach classes with a lot of people, seminars where there's a lot of people, so I can do public speaking. I'm not afraid of looking stupid. So I was like, okay, you've got to completely go for it. If you half-ass it, it's more embarrassing than screaming like a maniac.
In the red corner.
Oh, there's been a couple. Oh, there was one guy that's terrible. But I went in and did it, and I remember my first show, first fight announcement went real good. The second one, I'm like, this show is brought to you by No Vision and Battle Ready Fight Management and something else. And then I stopped talking. Obviously, it's the prelims. There's nobody there, right? And I just heard this brummy voice in the background, this woman going, nobody cares, love. I started laughing. I couldn't carry on. These fighters waiting. I'm just giggling. It's like, it's so. And the thing is, on the camera, you can't really tell that no one's there. Or the goal of the production crew is that you can't tell that no one's there for the prelim. So I have to announce it like it's a full stadium. But I hate the announcers. Oh, we've had a few of these on Battle Arena where they go to the crowd, even though there's no crowd. They're like, "Are you ready?" It's like, of course they're not ready. There's nobody there.
They're not here
I
yet.
didn't ask them, and they had no. Like, it's
James
so
Price,
annoying.
canned laughter and canned applause, please.
Yeah, it just drives me.
That's
And
the
then
dream.
the
Get
first
that
one I
soundboard.
announced, I got one of the fights wrong. So I'm commentating, but I know I've got to run in and announce the winner, right? So I'm watching this fight, and I thought one girl had won. So I was getting ready in my head. I'll go, okay, this is a decision. I've got to run in and say this person's name. So I go in, and they go, right, it's a decision. We'll go to the scorecards. I go talk to the judges. Okay, they've chose the blue corner, right? I'm like, I'm not really registering because I think I know who's won, right? So I announce super close fight. I announce the blue corner won and then say the red corner's name, right? The winner in your blue corner, Susan, right? Susan's coach is Jimmy Wallhead, right? Pretty tough, scary dude.
Yeah, he's not
Quite aggressive with me, and I was like, "It's my first time," and he's like threatening the referee, and like he's quite like fair enough as well. He's quite aggressive because he thinks he's good, and it's such bias.
emotionally invested. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. So like, I take him to the side, and I was like, "Look, let's go look at the scorecards together." I said the right color. I just said the wrong name. I 100% fucked up. It's not the ref. It's not the judges. It's 100% me. We'll go check the scorecards. It's all good. And we go do it, and he's like, "You fucking useless," storms off. And then on the internet the next day, it's just endless tweets and messages and stuff, just people wanting me to die.
That's nice. I'm sure you enjoyed that. But again, this is something I really respect about what you guys do, because like with the scale of my platform as it's gradually building, I'm yet to have hate yet. I haven't quite made it yet. I had that meme video, my knockout. So haters mean you're getting noticed. But the fact you're on a bigger platform, and again, like, it's not just the audience there and then, it's the people watching it on YouTube. Everyone's got a comment, and then to be on that public platform, again, you're vulnerable in another sense. You're not just performing in your martial arts point of view, performing as that role there. So again, to be vulnerable to do that, I mean, fuck that, man. A lot of respect for that.
I did a podcast, and it's the slap head and the giraffe. It doesn't exist anymore, sadly, and it's I did. It was so good. I did loads of episodes. It was fun. But they had like 100,000 followers on Twitter, and it's like quite popular. And I went on this rant about how fat people should die, right?
That's good.
And everyone was laughing. The people I'm doing the podcast with, it was obviously a joke, right? So I was talking about, I'd sit on Channel 5 the night before, the like 50 Stone Life program, right? And this woman had 2 daughters, but she couldn't get out the building, and they were following her, having this stomach stapling and blah, 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 blah. And at the end of it, they goes, sadly, she died, right? And I was like, fucking good, right?
Okay, you made me laugh at us. I feel bad now. It's fine.
Because I was like, she couldn't even have the discipline. Because when they first showed her, she goes, oh, I've got big bones, whatever. Like, and then they, obviously, documentary follows her. Yeah, documentary follows her. She's having 15 burgers a meal, right? Literally, right? I'm not exaggerating, 15. And they were like, yeah, they were coming up with, she's having at least 8 to 12,000 calories a day, right? So it's a lot more. Yeah, and she's too fat to do anything. So all you got to do is not put the food in your face. You can eat 5,000 fucking calories and still lose weight. And I'm a parent. I was like, how dare she be so selfish and so weak and let those kids die? It's like it's Darwinism, right? Like she's a weak person. Like, she left her grandmother looking after the kids because all she would do was eat. She's broken, right? And I was like, And then I went on this rant about how supermarkets should have really thin aisles for chocolate. So you can't get it if you're fat. So this podcast put out this little clip of me ranting about how this woman should have died and fuck fat people, right? Oh, I got so much abuse. They're like,
did you? I wonder why it's a fucking mystery.
I know. And then I just
one thing with those programs that always make me laugh, I think it's Ricky Gervais joke. It's like, what was she like at 48 stone?
I'm doing fine.
Well, about 49 stone. At that point, it's building up. It's like at some point you realize there's a problem here, and where these conversations, the sound bites are where the problems happen, and the simple answers, the soundbite answers, don't explain the point. And this is a very modern era issue, which I've got such a thing with this. Body positivity and being a fat cunt are two different things.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the point with this is, if you are overweight, you aren't a bad person, but not even opinion-wise, it is a health risk, full stop. If you are happy in your skin, that's a separate thing. If you, like, literally, people have their insecurities, their scales, they have their own backgrounds. And obviously, if you look in the mirror and you're not happy with what you see, you still need to remember you're still the same person who you have that value. Your weight isn't your value, but your health is a part of your weight. And again, it's understanding what that means. And when you say weak, as much as it comes across quite, I don't know, quite cutthroat that you are a weak person, ergo you're fat. But again, it's understanding that the mental side of it. Again, it's the enabling habits and the victimhood. This is where victimhood gets so overly valued that, oh no, I'm scared and I'm sad, ergo don't leave me alone. Let's not get a jail free card. And if I say, I call you a cunt, and I say, don't get upset me, I've got like insert X mental health issue, I still shouldn't call you that. I'm still not okay, and I shouldn't get away with it because I've got, unless it's like a Tourette's or something like that where I literally physically can't control it. It's the point of taking that responsibility. And that, I don't have to get fat. Don't have to look a page 3 girl. So no, you don't, but you have to not die by 40 as a preference.
And like COVID now, like everyone, it's like 95% of people under 30 that are getting sick with COVID are overweight. It's like, and we not only do we have a personal responsibility, we have a responsibility for a society at large, right? Right now, everyone's wearing masks.
At large, extra large.
And at large, and not doing social gatherings or whatever. And so, it's a weird balance because we do a sport where we can, or, if you do it a long time, you're going to get injuries and you're going to use NHS resources and that could have been used by someone else. And there's like a degree of selfishness about everything we do. But I think I like make a judgment call on someone that is let themselves go so much because they must feel it. Like you can't, it must, if I hurt my back doing jiu-jitsu, I can feel it that it's hard to put on my shoes. I can feel it that it's hard to do various things, if you want. So I think maybe I bring my own baggage to this because I worked as a personal trainer in gyms for a long time. And when someone would come in and they're a bit overweight, it was relatively easy, right? It was like, a little bit over, like a stone.
Hands together, ready for action.
Yeah. You were like, all right, you're just a bit uneducated on nutrition and training, and like we're going to count calories, and you're just going to burn more than you consume, and like people catch on, and they have a bottle of wine still here and there, but they get through it, cool. But you'd get someone come in, and they'd be like, "New me," and it'd be some 4-foot girl who's 100 kilos and like clinically obese. They didn't need a trainer. There's something wrong with their brain. They've got like a psychological problem. And it was really frustrating because occasionally they'd be able to keep it together and they'd lose a little bit. So I had one woman that started at 130 kilos and literally a 5-foot woman, so big. And I was, she's losing weight. And I was like, we're going to get double figures. That's going to be cool. She should be 60 kilos, but right. I was like, we're going to get double figures. She hit double figures and then started eating again. Got straight back up to 140 now. Like saw her the other day, and it's just so frustrating that these people are so broken. Like I feel very sorry for them, empathetic, but there's only so much you can do. That's the problem. You can give all the information, all the everything, and whereas when we're a hunter-gatherer society, someone would have just given them a little shove off a cliff. Like we're stuck with them.
But with that, there's something very. Without the consequence, without this sort of thing, it's so hard to appreciate the value in this. And a very, very harsh, powerful, pure, raw, honest soundbite for this. You can only help you.
Yeah.
When it gets to this sort of stage, you need to decide what your values are. But one thing in the same sort of vein of conversation, in being in a fitness world, including the martial arts world and weight cutting and weight management, your relationship with food, this is not just for people overweight, people in general. Don't try your best to try not to detriment your relationship with food because you're trying to manage your weight. Because when you're so conscious about staying within a certain bracket to try and stay there, you get this whole thing. I had an episode with Mickey Mills, my first episode. He talks about from competing at an early age, you develop this kind of body dysmorphia. You get these like treat meals, cheat meals, dirty foods. Again, you can't have that. You can't have that. Your sat is awful. And then as soon as you're out of camp, you go so Ricky Hatton with it. You go hell for leather of just all the treats. And it's such a toxic mindset. Because again, like, I'm not overweight, but God, if I've got a bit of a love hand, I feel like the disgusting, like the blob. And I'm a lanky streak of piss. Like, why am I getting conscious about my weight? But again, it's like, this is so real and so raw. The amount of people who will say they're fat and out of shape and mean it, as much as it seems like, oh, they're fishing for compliments, they mean it. Like, and it's very concerning. And when it comes to that responsibility to know what to do and what that means, because when you're saying there, you reach the goal, the sunset moment, again, I said earlier, you think, okay, now I've made this weight. I'm now going to be attracted to the people who rejected me previously. I'm now a new person. Look, the glow up. But then what? It's not that. It's not.
Yeah, it's stoicism again. It's within you. Like, it was, if you can decide within you to be happy, then you and fix that, and be aware of your thoughts and the helpful ones. And then you can leverage that to become a healthier person, because then you're not looking there, like you say, not looking on the external for the happiness. And the thing is, it's very hard for me to judge, because I've never been particularly athletic or intelligent or anything really, but I'm bloody determined and mentally tough. So it's very hard for me to relate to someone that isn't like that, because it's just not my experience. So I can't, like, when it's something I really struggle with, because if I decide something in an absolute way, then I just stick to it. If I like lockdown, we were all getting a bit fat and out of shape, and I was having a few beers here and there and whatever, and I was like, right, what rules could I set myself? I was trying to think of, like, so in religion they have these rules, but then they go, oh, it's because I'm pleasing God, right? I won't have shellfish or
a higher purpose.
Yeah, and they go, I'm going to fast because it's serving God. But really, a lot of the times it was, we don't want people to eat shellfish because they're getting sick, so we'll say it's serving God because they're too stupid.
Split hoofs and things like that. Same kind of rule.
Yeah.
It's very like, don't do it, you won't die. But God said so it's fine.
So I wanted to, like, make my own religious rules, right? The Chris Fensom, like, cult. So I was like, as a Fensomite, I don't eat chocolate, I don't eat Chris, I don't eat biscuits, and I don't drink alcohol, right? And so I decided that the end of last year, and what are we in? Almost the end of March, and I haven't broken those rules as of yet. And it's like, and then I was brought up vegetarian, and I've since given that up. But after a while, I stopped agreeing with the moral argument of vegetarianism, but I still took great pride that I hadn't eaten meat for 10 years or whatever it was. It was like, it was something else there. So I'm trying to, and maybe other people can do it, I'm trying to, like, leverage my own rules and take pride in them, that's sticking to them. And then the secondary benefit is that I'm not going to put on as much weight.
Definitely. And with that, there's a few points to sort of expand on this, why it works on such a deeper level. That if I ask you, if you've got a fight coming up, would you rather go to the pub with your mates or go to the gym? You knowing what the connotations are, you'd say the gym, but most people would say, I'd rather see my mates. So would you rather win your fight and see your mates? So, well, my fight. But some people would still say, I'll see my mates. I said, would you rather not lose your fight or see your mates? Yeah. Again, not losing and winning are very different things. And
it's
different.
It's Marcus Aurelius again, right? It's control the things you can control. I can't control my opponent. I can't control what happened on the day. I can't control bad judging, but I can control how hard I train. I can control the food I put in my face. So I'm going to completely focus on the things I can control, and then what's the leave it all up to fate, love fate, right? Like,
I'll raise your Marcus Aurelius with manage your expectations, not your standards. But that's it's another thing. The point with this is more the higher purpose than it is the actual goal itself. Because again, when we say about the black belt, for example, your goal isn't to get the next belt. Your goal is to be consistent, and then by a byproduct is getting the black belt. And with this, it's not so much your goal is to be the Fensom, like being the embodiment of your own philosophy of what you want to be like. It's not to not have. It's not to make McVitie's bankrupt. It's to try and make sure you get to your certain position. But where this whole conversation sort of goes around is understanding that people have different backgrounds, different norms and values. And again, like you've managed to understand the order, chaos kind of structure, but you need this sort of template to then get this, that, and the other. You've got your own plethora of references to see why this works for you. But again, the fat cunts and everyone else, people who are struggling, I say fat cunts is a separate term. They're just people I don't like. They're collectively fat cunt. They could be skinnier than me. They're still fat cunt. But people who are not as disciplined with certain things, again, they've got their own get out of jail free cards, their own caveats, their own conversations. And again, even saying that, I've even generalized to that degree. I don't know, and I know I don't know. So all I can say is if they want the help, I'm prepared to help where I can. But again, you have to fall to an extent to know to pick yourself back up. And again, there's this whole thing of society, what you said earlier about responsibility, that we need to stop fat people from eating too much because then they can, get heart attacks and die, because it's not just them, it's their family. And that's what motivates a lot of people, because again, it's not, oh, it's just me, it doesn't matter. No, if you're too fat and you die, you can't look after the people around you. And you go to like a nice, sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry. I think there's like a jiu-jitsu thing here as well. Of everything's jiu-jitsu. It's Socrates, right? The unexamined life is not worth living. So if you kind of aimlessly roll and don't examine why you're moving this way and why this is working, why this is not working, you won't have any progress, or you have very slow progress. So I think we're all really good at criticizing other people's lives and being very forgiving of ourselves. Whereas, the unexamined life is not worth living. I have it on the wall in my house, and I constantly go, even my thought process is quite often I'll drive, turn the radio off, and then I want to kind of ask myself the right questions of why am I doing this? What am I getting out of it? What's the process here? And then, and like you say, like focus on the micro and I was getting around the wrong way. Focus on the micro and the macro. Yeah. So like if I so at school, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. I was told I would never be very good at languages and reading and writing and so on. Right?
But I'm really good at JBJ.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. But so for me to go off and try and learn a foreign language, it might be a ridiculous, stupid aim, right? And it might be impossible. It might take me 3 times longer than the average person. But so to put that as my goal would be retarded, right? But to put my goal as I'm going to spend half an hour every day learning Spanish. And even if I'm terrible at it, I'll be working a part of my brain that probably needs a little bit of exercise. And like I'll get a little bit of brain training out of it. And I've probably had some brain damage in my life, so it'd probably be good to balance. Yeah. So yeah, and then every day you go, I'm going to eat healthy today. I'm going to train hard today. I'm going to do the best I can today. I'm going to go early to bed today. I'm going to read Epictetus today, right? And then if you have enough of those days, like fuck, like life, it just adds up, and like the macro, like it really does like treat itself. And I started doing the same with jiu-jitsu. I was stuck at purple belt for a while. I didn't know why I didn't get promoted.
Politics. Everyone but you, can't be you.
I don't know. I think I was just overlooked or something. But I was a purple about 3 years. I won every fucking competition going, and then I won a battle arena title. And then I phoned my coach, and I was like, "What else do you want me to do?" And I was like, "Literally, what else?" And he's like, "Come to the gym Monday." And then he gave me my brown belt. But I was like, I got to the point I was like, "Fucking asking for it. I want it. I deserve it. Like, why? Like, I've done everything I can. Like, why shouldn't I have it?" So, yeah, just concentrate on the daily things. And then, if you do set a big goal, you're going to do an MMA fight or something, just day by day, focus on the day, and then just come to terms with the result and realize it's just 2 guys in a cage in their pants. Like, it really doesn't matter.
So you've ended that on a perfect note. And a little thing with that when it comes to incremental growth and building habits, John Cameron did a post on this, and I'm going to remember everyone, although he's McGregor's coach, this is referenced almost exactly from Atomic Habits by James Clear. So yes, he's McGregor's coach. who Danny Batten beat with all that bit.
I remember that 5. Watch that.
There we are. Go get in there. But again, that's how it's a good reference point to help building these habits and certain traits there. But one thing you said there, which I was going to go into earlier, was about nihilism. Are you familiar with nihilism, sort of Nietzsche and the idea of everything is nothing? But
God is dead, right?
Literally, I mean, there's not enough water to wash away the blood and all that kind of stuff. But the principle with this and why it's applicable is normally nihilism is taking a very sort of depressive teenager kind of tone that life's not worth living, life is sad, life is suffering, life is nothing. But no, it's the opposite. There is no meaning. Ergo, you can then assign meaning. And that the people who gluttonously eat their life away and, into their coma, and us who dedicate our lives to martial arts, our lives are equally meaningful. And it's a very hard thing for people to sort of take and appreciate. You think, no, one's clearly more beneficial collectively. No, it's not. Not in the slightest. However, the fact no one makes us do the things we do gives it that value. Like, no one thanks me for getting up at 5:30 to train across the road for strength and conditioning, to then work full time to do a podcast and also train in the evening again. No one thanks me for that. I thank me for that. No one thanks Jordan Vucenic for doing what he does and then winning a world title. That's not an overnight thing. That's taken years. But no one thanks him for doing it when he's doing it. No one thanks him for making the sacrifices. And, it's one of these things that the fact there is no obligation, like when a kid goes to school, you don't give him a pat on the back for grafting at school. You say he has to do it. There's no benefit. There's no praise to be given because you're doing what you have to do.
Is that not dangerous? Because then you could have Gandhi and Adolf Hitler with the same, look at them exactly the same way.
But it's the collective thing. It's the principle that without the obligation, the action has more value because it's been given unforced effort. Mm-hmm. If I tell you have to write a nice post about me on Facebook or have to write something to leave a review, that's got no weight behind it because I made you do it. If you do it off your own back, that's a nice gesture, which you should do. Everyone listening, Google.
You told them, now you ruined it.
Well, I'll give a shit. I'll take it all the same. Algorithms. but the principle is more that. And again, like you're saying there, rightly so, when it comes to like Gandhi and Hitler, literally polar opposites, it's more so that goes to a Immanuel Kant thing about it's about morality, and that as long as no harm is done, then there's no need for action in the sense to intervene and do this, that, and the other. But this isn't a philosophy thing, but we've been there for ages. It's more the principle that the fact that we don't have to do it gives it even more value that we do it. But also, Russell Brand said this perfectly about like when he got his blue belt and it was his biggest achievement, he's got his degrees.
I was there. I got a photo with him.
Shameless plug. We'll get that in the thumbnail. That's fine.
Yeah.
But he was saying on Joe Rogan ages ago how all his achievements, and then he sees a person with learning difficulties get like a certificate for whatever he was doing, and they have equal amount of value because again, there's big world, asteroids, planets, everything. We are so insignificant. Our worlds are everything and nothing at the same time. And as soon as you could appreciate that, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely spot on.
I had the same thing on another podcast. I got the Eric's Fight Gear podcast.
Yeah, Big Rich, top boy.
I'm pretty sure it was Eric's Fight Gear. I think it was that podcast. And someone wrote in a question live and it was like, who's your biggest inspiration in jiu-jitsu? And I think they wanted me to be like, Roger Gracie's awesome, or Braulio is this, or whatever else. And I was like, the problem is Roger Gracie's like the perfect jiu-jitsu brain in the perfect country with the perfect dad, and then a 6'5" fucking crazy athletic body. Like I like the guy and I respect his achievements, but like he's not. I don't find him overly inspiring, to be honest. Like I find the guy in the corner that's like plugging away and he's got 4 kids at home and he works 2 jobs and he still gets to freaking training, and like he's got the athleticism of a dead fish, but he still pushes himself and he's getting just a little bit better all the time, and one day he's actually going to be a black belt, like a real black belt. It's going to take him fucking ages, but he's plugging away. Like that's like so impressive to me, because like when I was training like twice a day, every day, training for MMA stuff, I had no kids, I had no obligations, I worked part-time. Like it was physically tiring, but it's easy life. Like now it's like I got 4 young children and like a big business, and like that's much harder. much harder. So I'm not that impressed by athletes.
Again, that's so spot on. I think it's rule 3 or 4 and 12 rules for life by Jordan Peterson. Plug again is
you love Jordan Peterson.
It's
his carnivore diet thing. It puts me off. He just waffles on about meat all the time.
I don't care about his diet in the slightest. Mine's more the way he can articulate things we already know but don't know how to explain. And this is another one. It's compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is before. Because this is so huge for exactly the way you explained that. You aren't Brazilian, sorry to admit it. Your dad isn't Mauricio Gomez. You haven't. This is what I mean. Porra, no. But again, you're comparing someone to a very carbon copy of yourself. Someone so this is you, and that is where this progress comes from. This is why it was so important, and I love that so much. And what was I going to say with it as well? There was something else. But again, the Matthew McConaughey thing. Have you heard his Oscar-winning speech for Dallas Buyers Club?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Long time ago.
Oh,
Remind
it's
me.
so perfect for pretty much what you're saying there. That my inspiration is me in 10 years from now. That's who my role model is. And then in 10 years, that'll be me, and so on and so forth. All right.
I like that.
But again, this is sort of the point, though. That I want to be someone who I look up to by that point. The idea,
Yeah.
you'd beat your shit out of the white belt self, the blue belt self, purple belt self. You get him a fucking, I'll tired and see you later. But this is the point.
There's so much more to being an inspiration than just being good at jiu-jitsu. They're like, Roger might be my jiu-jitsu inspiration, but someone else like my father might be my, being a family man inspiration. Something else like, like Roger's awesome, but he left his wife and got a supermodel girlfriend, right? For him, that's living the good. Yeah. For many people, that's inspiration. For me, that's heartbreaking. But we all come to it with different values. I'm not trying to judge his value, but I think if I'm going to find, I think the problem is with MMA. I was in the stage where you could still train with these monsters, and I've met many of my heroes, and I've been universally disappointed. And it's not on them; it's on me, because I went in there with the wrong standards. And it's the same with like heroes from history, right? Like Martin Luther King had like hundreds of affairs, but like if we judge him by the standards of like the new woke left or whatever it is now, he's terrible, right? But he's not, right? Yeah, cancelled, like for what he stood for. But like I'm trying to like Matthew McConaughey, like I'm trying to be the person that I would be inspired by. That's a dedicated husband and a loving father, and someone that can find a balance between doing jiu-jitsu and all the other stuff in life. And like, yeah, there's like, it's so stupid. Jiu-jitsu people, maybe you're the exception, Dan. You're going to be the one that proves this wrong. Are you into cars?
Very loosely.
No. I need to find.
To an extent.
No grapplers or no martial artists are into cars. The two worlds are like the graph of the two circles. I have no idea why.
Car guys are horse girls, the same people.
but I'm a massive petrol head. So like I'm pretty much just as, it's not my living, but I'm just as passionate about cars as I am about martial arts. But the two worlds don't align. But my perfect inspirational person is someone that can build a car and do jiu-jitsu and be a black belt and be a good dad and husband. Like if someone can do those things and be a good instructor, like that's my dream. Like that's what I'm striving towards, but it's hard to do. The car's not too hard.
Before we wrap these sort of thing up, there was something with that I want to sort of summarize really nicely, which is you want to find someone who embodies the same values you have. And that's not just your one world of jiu-jitsu, because obviously we said about Roger Gracie there, if you want his jiu-jitsu sort of credentials, would you also want the other side of your life where you have your fulfillment from other avenues? And again, this is why it's so much more prominent achieving what you've done, along with the other sort of things in your life that are going on. And a bit of context wise, I won't name the guy, I'll say Joe Vlogs, but when I was, I think, 4-stripe white belt, the gym I was at the time, the way he used to give up promotions, it was either on designated grading days or when the post class like speech of, okay, there's so and so coming up, don't forget this, you do the odd surprise one. So there's me, 4-stripe white belt, rubbing my hands together every session thinking, I can today. And so everyone who's got their blue belt knows the build up is like the best thing that's ever happened to anyone ever. And one of my friends who I was training with, he'd come every now and then. He did quite well in competition, but he was a bit sort of nonplussed by it. And then when he was given his blue belt, he didn't really shrug. And for me at the time, it was so jarring thinking, okay, this is literally the biggest thing in the world for me right now. And I'm just like, he's got that and he doesn't seem to care. And having spoken to him after that, saying I could respect that kind of like genuine, like, keeping composed. But he said, yeah, well, if I'm honest, my wife was going through different stages of cancer, what was going on at home, and this was just another thing. So to think, do you know what, my world was so narrow in this little circle of this little fabric belt you can get from Amazon for a tenner, that this is something in his world. It's so trivial. It just makes you put the scale of things. And like, fuck me, man. Here's me worrying about a belt. Like, there is an element of Epicureanism of smelling the rose that, you know, remember what you want, remember wanting what you want, what you have now, that kind of idea. But even still, it's like, it's just so hard to articulate how, what's the word? It's just not invaluable. It's just nothing, but it's also everything to me, but invaluable to someone else. It's so,
It's only the value you assign to it, I guess.
literally that. And again, your perspective of the world, this is my entire world, but no, it's so much bigger than that. Before I let you go, my friend, there's a few things I've got staple questions to ask everyone. So I want your sort of answer to these again.
You've seen that I waffle on. Don't expect speed questions. They always go fast questions and I just waffle too much.
It's not so much speed, it was more specific to you. It's more making sure it's not general Joe Blogg's answer. This is Chris Fensom. This is what you'd say to someone saying this.
Right. You need to see the car. That's my car.
I like that car. For everyone listening,
See?
I don't know makes, I don't know models of that. I think it looks
That's
shiny.
because I built it with my own hands. It's a one-off.
It's a Fensom. The F1.
Fensom.
It's like the Phantom. Anyway, so the first question I've got is, before competition, jiu-jitsu, MMA, whatever it is, you're warming up, and then in walks you right now. You then say to your about to compete self, what? To keep you in a good headspace to compete to your best ability, what is the prompt you give you?
I can't say this without sounding like an arsehole. This is the problem,
Go
right?
on.
Because
I like
the me in the gym, I'm a very humble person, right? I
Carry yourself
walk
well.
quietly. Yeah, I hope so. Or that's what, at least what I aim to do, right? The me competing is I'm arrogant, right? Because I wouldn't go there unless I thought I could win. So I would just tell myself, I'd be like, you can win this. You know you can win this. And you're thinking, this is my conversation with myself. Like, I know you're thinking the other guy is won this and won that, but you've won shitloads of stuff as well, buddy. That's why you're in the same division. Like, you are where you should be. And then I'd be like, and remember, if you lose, really doesn't matter, right? So it's like, be okay with the outcome, but just remember you're very capable of winning this. And then, like, I think I'd be able to do it. It's the kind of classic, the like Mike Tyson thing, the documentary where he's pissing himself backstage and then he walks out and gets more confident. By the time he gets in the ring, he feels like a god. Like, I don't feel like a god, but when I get on the mats, I 100% think I can beat the other person. I've lost plenty of matches, right? I'm not saying I always do, but I certainly go out there with the confidence that I can. And the controlling the things you can control, I think I would tell myself, you know, you train harder than the other guy with better coaches and you've put in more time and you're more dedicated. And that'd be it, I think.
I like that because there's a tone switch, and that's what a lot of people seem to struggle with, where they're with their mates just rolling about in the gym. It's fine, no problem. But on game day, when it's a fight, it's a whole big thing. Their attitude's the same in the gym, or they panic and don't know what to do. But I like the way you're sort of going from, okay, you can be nice and playful and be open to mistakes and failure, happy days. But then you got to think, the energy is white belt is trying to ankle lock me, and I'm not going to fucking let it happen. I'll die. He would take that home with him. I'm not going to tap. That kind of like, you know, this is not. This ain't, you know, poor harder now. This is fucking what's this is gauntlet energy.
Your psychological health is your own responsibility, right? So you have to be like, I'm okay with the outcome either way, and I'm also going to know if I win this, I'm no badass, right? I instantly feel bad for my opponents whenever I win. Instantly. Like, I think if you watch my Battle Arena title fight, I submit the guy and I immediately stand up and go, yeah! And then before even finishing my I'm on my knees comforting the guy going, I'm really sorry. So it's, you know, I don't, it's kind of glory on someone else's misery in a way. And it doesn't sit that comfortably with me. So, like, I don't want to be too depressed in defeat or too joyous in victory. Just kind of deal with both of them level-headed.
I do like that because, again, it's that personifying. This is you. This is your understanding that the person you've just beaten is still a person. There is someone who put in either the equivalent or their version of the effort they thought was required to then compete to that level. and then they've fallen short, which you're more than prepared to be. And this is why competing on a platform, regardless of the scale, is always very something to be respected. Because again, if you're the bloke in the pub who says, yeah, I could have done this, then well, until you prove it, it doesn't mean anything. But the fact you go out there, win, lose, draw, whatever you want to call it. I'm about to say win, learn, or draw, but I'm not much of a cunt. I hate those people. I hate
It doesn't matter.
I tell you what, I'll tell you,
yeah.
one thing I'll say, one thing I hate the most when people say is best of skill. Best of skill is so fucking pretentious. Just say best of luck. We all know what it means.
Or jits. Jits is the worst one.
Nah, jits with hits. There's a Irish lady I had on Liv Prendergast. She says jits with hits. So Paddy O'Houlihan calls a like grappling striking class, and I love it. Jits with hits.
Quite cool. That works.
Paddy O'Houlihan said it. You can get away with murder. It's perfect.
Yeah. But if I hurt someone, I feel even worse. Like, so I had 2 title fights on Battle Arena. So I won one at middleweight and then one at light heavyweight. But the middleweight one, the guy didn't tap to an armbar, and I'm belly down, as on an armbar as you can be, and he's just like I'm shouting at him. I'm going tap, tap, and I can feel his elbow breaking, whatever. And then the fight finished, and I started telling him off. I was like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I'd won. Why do I have to break your arm, and why do you have to have a broken arm? I had checkmate, right?" And it frustrated, and it's one of the reasons I stopped doing MMA. I was like, I don't like hurting people. I hate it. I don't like beating people, let alone hurting people. So, like, I'm not really a cage fighter. I'm just a big wuss.
No, but there's an element of it's funny you sort of got a label for that, because some people say you're either a martial artist, you're a fighter, you're an athlete, whatever your approach to MMA is. But I like the way you took that step back and saying, you know what, as a sport, I like it. I like competing. I like the skill set, I like the development side, no problem. But when push comes to shove, and do I want to hurt another person outside of winning the match? Do I want to leave them with a broken arm they could go to work on Monday with? That doesn't sit right with you. Again, with some other people, myself included, to kill or be killed, you know what you sign up for. But again, you've got that moral compass in the moment. But again, it's
any competition. If you don't tap, the game is that I'm going to crank on this, and that's your fault, buddy. But it's not. It's just not a nice feeling. It's not a nice feeling pulling on someone's heel and feeling what it feels like. For me, there's the sensation, even if you take out sympathy for the other person, the sensation of knowing what it feels like to twist someone's foot until their knee explodes is not a nice feeling. Or
yeah. Oh my God. Okay, I'm not going to name names because there's obviously can't kiss and tell with stuff like this. But I remember this. So blue belt, no-gi. I'm rolling with someone in the gym. I have an inside heel hook on a 50-50. I am a bit of a soft touch. I used to be a soft touch when it comes to rolling in general. I was very much quite passive, a bit too nice. I had the bite. I'm looking in the eyes, gentleman's agreement, expecting the nod. Okay, little tap, and we call it a day. I'm slowly putting it on because he's not even acknowledging it. He's like attacking my foot. I'm thinking, okay, it must not even be on. I put a little bit more pressure on, and you hear this crunch like someone stepped on a crisp packet.
And Even talking about it upsets me.
And I just felt so guilty and so sad because, again, I'm not that spazzy white belt. I'm not the guy who actually yanks on stuff and gets excited. So to get labelled with that, I thought, you had all the time in the world. But
it's the one big benefit of being a black belt. I can tap for people. So I can tell them, you're done. And they'd be like, no, I didn't feel it. I was like, I don't care. I'm tapping for you. I won. And they'd be like, what? I'm like, I'm a black belt. Like, I'm going to pull that card. Like, I'm aware of this situation, this position, obviously better than you. And even if you're crazy flexible, like Vinny Magalhaes or someone that can just bend forever, I'm not playing that game, right? It's like, that is the one joy. And then other black belts will usually tap. Like, who gives a shit?
So that's question 1 of 3 questions.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry, you're going to be here till midnight. I'll be faster.
Question 2. This is a lot nicer, a lot quicker. So here you are, Saturday. The guy tapped in time. You've now got your belt around your waist. He went up to a choke. He shook and said, "Thank you very much. I'm glad you did that." And clear conscience. What is on your takeaway drive home? What is your treat food post competition?
Treat food,
like delivery, like sort of takeaway sort of thing.
Oh,
like celebration meals.
Do you know? I probably just I would have a post-fight beer, and then I hardly drink anyway, which is why giving up was pretty easy. Hardly drink anyway, so I'm usually pretty pissed after one beer. And then you've obviously cut weight, you've dehydrated from the fight, so I'm usually pissed after one beer, And then, you know, your mates come and watch you, and everyone just wants to buy you around because you want a cage fight in front of them, and that's pretty cool. And I've always been too hammered to know what the food was that I ate that night.
So good.
I'm assuming a kebab or something. And I think, you know, like everything in moderation, including moderation. I'm like, if I get fucking blasted, I'll be so hungover. My kids will wake me up at 7 a.m. I probably won't drink for another year, so it will actually work better overall, like the intensity of that. But yeah, that's it. Be so drunk you don't know what you eat.
That's wonderful. I'll tell you, after my last fight, because you have to get the trophies, I put one of the like overpriced Carlsbergs in it from the actual venue. And like every fighter does, I think, you know, I have that. And God, my thing still smells. I swear I've rinsed it how many times. I put my cheap champagne in there. I thought, you know, I won this. There's no one here yet because it's still early days, like 4 o'clock in the evening. I'm like, you know, I'm the fucking man. I don't give a shit.
Do you keep your hand wraps on?
I've got them in the trophy. It's at home, but yeah.
But after the fight, do you get them taken off straight away?
I'll take them off straight away. Like,
okay.
It's just one of them. Some people love it, like saying, "Look at my fight." I said, "I've got fucking cauliflower ears," and like, you know, nothing reason to tell her I'm a cage fight. I have to fucking like, you know, wear my hand wraps about it.
So obviously announcing, I'm stood in there waiting sometimes with I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. He's impartial referee Paul Nichols, he's going to kill me for telling people what we talk about. But like, we stand and have a chat. We're waiting, just bollocks.
Talking about another event that isn't there anymore.
No. But often it's the fighters or the previous fight or whatever. It's quite nice. Sometimes quite often ask my opinion on stoppages, especially with submissions, because they stop it a bit earlier than they would in the UFC because maybe people don't realize the danger they're in. And he asked my opinion, and I side on caution, so I'm the right person to ask probably. But he has the same complaint every show, and it's fighters that then go and walk around the crowd but keep their hand wraps on because they want to let everyone know they were a fighter. So they go to the bar and be like, "Oh," and there's no reason you would have hand wraps on, right? You would. They're covered in blood, sweat. It'd be the first thing I want to take off, right? Even if you don't want to shower. When I finished fighting, I was like, get this shit off me, right? But and your ex-opponent there, he's a classic. He keeps his hand wraps on all night. He's like dancing at the end with his hand wraps on. Oh, McManus.
I mean, I kind of get it. I get the idea of you're in the moment. This is your night.
He's the king for the night. Yeah.
But this is it. This is the whole point. Like, as much as you can sort of say, you shouldn't do that. I said, do whatever the fuck you want. I had someone tell me I celebrated too hard for that. I said, give a fuck.
No.
You don't have no idea.
Yeah, you do that. You have a cage, especially coming back from the knockout and like...
You know what I mean? Like, yes, it is nothing.
It's just an fight at all. You know? It's like awesome.
You know,
like you should be so proud of yourself, and like to have that, like I feel like it's like a weight off your shoulders because then instead of everyone remembering you for that, they're gonna remember you for winning. It's like you're only as good as your last fight, and your last fight was fucking awesome. So like, why wouldn't you be stoked? Like,
but this is sort of my point of like anything, and this is something you said earlier. I'm going to go to the third question, which was about how you don't wake up every day and say, "Look, I'm a black belt." I sort of do to an extent with like
I keep it on in bed.
That was that's the third question.
The wife loves it. No, you heard her earlier. She didn't give a shit.
But it's more so that kind of moment of reflection. So when I had a session with the English hypnotist who sponsored the podcast, we'll get there in a minute. It's about remembering these moments of like power, moments you highlight. Because you know when you have something like a high moment in your life, you're encouraged to move on from it. Don't talk about it anymore because everyone's sick of hearing it. Internally, when I see my purple belt, blue belt, so I'm like, you know what? I fucking bled for that. I'm a fucking... Internally, obviously, I'm not going to put like, oh, look, guys, look what happened X amount of months ago. So, yeah, we see. But no, internally, it's a nice sort of point. Do you know what? Fucking people, everyone listening now, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to be giving everyone advice for everything else, but everyone loves to critique themselves. They like to say, I'm bad at this, that, and the other. Give yourself some fucking praise. Aristotle, everywhere you go, you will be. Imagine if you had a mate who always put you down all the fucking time. You wouldn't want to spend time with them. Be your biggest fan. Be your fucking hype man. Obviously, keep your head in the ground, have your feet in the ground. Sorry, but you know,
it's a very British thing, isn't it? It's like the Americans will do that
polite.
a little bit.
It's just detrimental. It's not good. Saying your shit isn't being polite.
Yeah, my own family are like that. They're really bad at praising each other. There's kind of you compliment by kind of ribbing or insulting and I think there's nice like to that as well with the banter, but I try and be a bit more honest with people. Sometimes I do the whole like, you know, I love you, right? Someone will be like, oh, that's weird. I'm like, no, I do. I want you to know. I want you to know I care about you, and you know, and people are a bit weird about it, but it's better to wear your heart on your sleeve and let people know. I think be more honest.
100%. And this is, I swear by this. I do it so often. And when it comes to giving praise, I'll never say anything that isn't true. I'll always say, if I mean something nice, I'll say it, full stop. It's like, if you haven't got something nice to say, don't say anything at all. It's the complete opposite of that. I'll never lie. But you know what? If you're smashing past my guard, I'm like, you know what? Your fucking guard game's top notch. You fucking smash me. If you're putting your arm into pass guard and you're getting triangled, I will tell you need to work on it. But when I say you're doing well, I mean it. And as well, the whole memento mori thing, like as much as it is about yourself and like saying, you're not there tomorrow, definitely enjoy today. You don't know. This could be the last time I ever speak to you. For whatever reason, you might decide, you know what, I'm going to go off in the sunset and do something else with my family. I'm going to disappear. And if this is the last interaction we have, I'm completely present. I'm engaged in the conversation, full stop. I'm with this. A lot of people are too flippant with their company and people are around where it's like, you know what? Oh, I'm on my phone. I'm on Instagram. I'm ignoring you. Oh, yeah, I'll catch you later. Like, no. Be present. Be with people around you. And like, it could easily just be like, I forget about them. But they don't always come back. I love
podcasts.
This is what I mean. There's a guy who we had at the gym, sorry to interrupt, a white belt who passed away because he took his own life. And now when it comes to people in the gym, I've made this very clear for everyone now. You don't know if people are going to come back. You don't know if they want to come back. They might not be depressed. They might have other incidents going on. But the best thing you can do for everyone is create a platform. And what I mean is when you're in the gym, you say, look them in the eye, say, nice seeing you. When they go, say, it was nice seeing you today. I'll be see you soon. Little things like that. It makes a world of fucking difference. Be grateful for your training partners. Sorry, mate, please continue.
That's good. That's where the Brazilians got it quite good. Like the culture of walk in the gym and shake everyone's hand. And it is like, yeah, like it's a bit cheesy, but like it's all love, right? Like just got to like put it out there and some of it will come back to you and some of it won't. And some people will reject it and that's okay. But yeah, like life is so weird, right? There's no like you're saying nihilism or whatever, like it is the meaning you attach to it. But if you wanted to attach your meaning is to like spread love and be nice to people and make the world a little bit better, like, and pursue your passions along the way, as long as it's not, running over puppies or something, like fucking.
All right, don't discriminate. This will be the last Marcus Aurelius thing of the podcast, maybe, which is doing the good deed for the deed's sake in itself. If I see you at the gym and I say, oh, here's a bottle of water, I'm not expecting you to get me one next time. But if you did, it was a nice gesture on top of what I've already done. I'm doing the good deed for good deed's sake in itself. And if you can start getting that attitude of, do you know what, gratitude's a bonus, it's not guaranteed, it's not essential.
Have you read Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art?
I know. What is that about? I'll make a note of that.
Oh, it's the writer. He wrote The Legend of Bag of Vance. It's been on like Rogan and stuff. And Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art, and he's talking about like how to. So he says there's a mysterious force in the universe called resistance, right? So everything is resistance. You want to go to jiu-jitsu, there's this resistance. Like it could be the resistance in your own head or the people around you, and life is this constant battle against this force of resistance. And sometimes you have the muse that comes and helps you or whatever. But he talks about often the resistance is, I don't want to write this book because I won't be able to sell it, right? I don't want to do jiu-jitsu because I won't get a black belt. I want to like whatever. And he says, just do it for the sake of the art, right? Just make the art, just do the thing. Don't worry about the result or the payback, right? And then he lists all these like, is it not Picasso? Is it Da Vinci? Like never sold a thing until his death or whatever.
Something like that. Yeah, again, a lot of that sort of after their death, they have their legacy sort of established.
Van Gogh, I think it's Van Gogh. Yeah, Vincent Van Gogh, right? He doesn't sell a painting until after his death, but made these beautiful works of art. So
Marcus Aurelius, his diary was found after he died. And that's one of the best-selling books in the world.
Yeah. Meditations is never supposed to be published, right?
It's in Greek. He was a Roman emperor. It was in a different language, for fuck's sake. They still did it.
You should read The War of Art. It's kind of a bit. I thought, oh, this is going to be airy fairy nonsense, but it's like, it's kind of, like, it doesn't really matter if God is real or Jesus is real or whatever else, right? But if believing it gives you strength, courage, or purpose, or whatever else. Yeah. So if you believe there's this force in the universe called resistance, and every day your job is to wake up and fight the force of resistance. So when you've got to lift weights, you can feel the force of resistance at you, this unknown force, and you have to overpower it. And every day is this battle that you got to win. Like, whether it's true or not, it's like it's quite a functional, useful way of looking at the world. And like doing the battle is the purpose. It's not winning. It's not making money or anything else. It's like, yeah, being friendly with everyone, not because you want the feedback, just because it's the right thing to do.
Pursuit is happiness. Responsibility equals meaning. There we are. For our third question.
Fuck.
Day one, white belt walks in. He's got, all the enthusiasm, wants to get stuck in.
Yeah.
What is the rule of thumb you give them to start their journey? Again, you can go so deep in everything you want to talk about. What is the rule of thumb for the keen white belt who wants to just get stuck in?
Number one, I'm not going to learn your name until you're a blue belt. No, not really.
Speak when spoken to.
So white belt, you want to. So the counterintuitive thing, you're less likely to get hurt by the high grades, right? Avoid the competition guy. He's definitely just going to practice some horrible move on you. He's just going to see you as a body bag. Try and go with older people 30 plus. They're a bit more sympathetic to injuries and not hurting each other. So that's my first advice. Don't go with other white belts, usually psychopaths. Every time you get beaten by something, so you get swept, submitted, if you don't know why, or you don't know how they did it, you didn't learn anything. The other guy learned something. He just practiced his move. So everyone else if you're the lower, everyone in the gym is ranked and you're the bottom of that ranking, every single person there is a professor to you, right? So you go with this blue belt and he scissor sweeps you. You go, what was that? Most people go, oh, it's a scissor sweep. You're like, I've never seen it before. Can you show me, right? No one really says fuck off ever, right? Especially in a jiu-jitsu class.
Only you, that's about it.
Yeah, but the instructor's going to
be fair,
slap you in the face if you do that. So they go, oh, fine, all right. So they show you the scissor sweep, and you're actually have learned something from this role, which at that point is just a random entanglement of bodies, right? You've actually taken something out of it functional, right? Also, if you're a white belt, you probably don't have the best gas tank, or even people with shit gas tanks in jiu-jitsu have technique to balance out their shit gas tank, and you don't have that either. So stopping and asking questions will give you a rest and you can be much more productive if you're not completely wrecked. So stop and ask questions. If you get tapped with something, do the same thing. How did you catch me with that? What did I do wrong? Right? You go, okay, this is the Kimura. You put your hand in the wrong place. Okay, now I learned not to put my hand there. I'm going to tap me out with something else next time. I'll learn not to get caught in that. If you do that, it's like what do they call it? Student-led learning or whatever, right?
You're going to be development.
Yeah, you're going to be fixing the holes in your own jiu-jitsu game, and your progress will be so much faster than relying on the black belt there who's going through the syllabus. And that black belt might be going, I'm really sorry you're brand new, but we're working on inverted X guard sweeps for the next month, and you've just got to figure out, buddy, right? So you're missing all those fundamentals. And you can go, oh shit, but you can learn all those from the people around you. And if they don't, if you go, what did you catch me with? A Kimura, I didn't really understand it. I go and look on YouTube, what's a Kimura? Oh shit, okay, that's what he did. I understand it now. I can watch it in slow motion. And then your progress will be so much better. And like we were saying before about you being Leicester Jiu-Jitsu, me being Fensom Jiu-Jitsu, is you can be Bob Smith white belt Jiu-Jitsu pretty quick. You can figure out one or two moves that work for you. And then jiu-jitsu is so much fun. It's like chess. When you know how the pieces move, you can play the game, right? That will speed up your progress to learning how the pieces move. And then, like I said before, your instructor, it doesn't matter if you're a white belt your first week, he's there. You've paid him money. He works for you. He owes you a service. If someone rolls you and hurts you, go tell him, right? If you're like a woman, some guy's a bit creepy, go tell the instructor. Like, he's there to protect you as well. He's there to look after your safety. So go talk to him, be irritant to him. And me as an instructor, we like questions. Like, questions are cool. I like the students to come up to me at the end of the class and go, oh, I got caught in 3 heel hooks today. How do I get out of this? And I go, oh, let me show you this cool move I come up with or whatever. So yeah, that's my advice. I think it's pretty good broad advice to getting faster, better, and enjoying jiu-jitsu more.
Learn the rules, so learn the game as a beginner so you can break it like the artist sort of thing. And again, that's Picasso thing, isn't it? Again, this is where even something you said even before that about when you were doing the commentary to then doing the TV sort of stuff. Again, because you know what you're talking about, although you won't admit it the same kind of way, because you understand the premise, what you're getting at, the verbatim words don't matter. You don't have to repeat how Kev or whoever's shown you certain techniques or Roger, because you get the concept and the premise. You can then understand to then apply that. Again, this is where we're saying about learning how the pieces move, so then you can have your own style from that. And a little faux pas caveat for everyone else: if you're gonna ask for advice, do it between taps. Don't do it as you're mid. Don't be the gets coached in tap, because again, as much as you think you're doing what was being asked, if you're like arm trucks, if you just move your hips a little bit, all right, cool, sick. No, don't be that guy. We'll leave things there because I need to get some sleep at some point. Thank you so much for your time, my man. Social media, people who can reach you. How
fuck, I don't know. Right, I'm on Instagram. Something. I'm on.
Is it
Facebook.
Fensom BJJ out of interest?
Fensom BJJ. I think that's it. Yeah, it's Let me have a look. What am I? Yes, Chris Fensom. FENSOM BJJ. On Instagram. It's about the only one I use, really. I'm on Facebook. You can always get me on Facebook if you want seminars or anything. So it's just Chris Fensom, just my name. Or I got a YouTube channel which is Fensom Jiu-Jitsu. So it's generally just for my students. What I do is I film my classes when I teach them, and then I upload them onto YouTube. But anyone can watch them if you want. You can just subscribe. But it allows my students to recap things we've done in the class and go over them if they want to, and in their own time, or open mats or anything. And then in Twitter is Chris Fensom MMA, I think, but I haven't updated that in about 2 years. That's what Sky TV told me off for. Apparently, I'm not social media savvy.
Oh, that's good of him.
It's because I don't care.
The last sort of thing with that, regards to people wanting to train with you, if they want to get involved, come to your classes. Whereabouts are you based, and where can people find the gym?
So I'm all over the bloody place. So I got Tame in Oxfordshire. It's a little village, so I teach lots of classes out of there. I also teach at Can Do Martial Arts in Abingdon in Oxfordshire, and then I'm the head jiu-jitsu coach for Elite Training Centre in Leighton Buzzard. And I'm also putting on, the idea is like a UK tour that I'm doing at the moment of seminars. So what I do is I come to your gym. I have this super duper HD 4K projector. And I show clips from some battle arena fights, actually, but then UFC fights, Gordon Ryan stuff, like a major jiu-jitsu moments, even some like classic ones as well. And then we watch the clip together. I talk through it like I would as a commentator, and then we go and then I teach it, explain what happened, how they set it up, all the details. Then you go away and practice it, and then 5 minutes later we do it for another move. So the idea is it's a bit more fun than a normal Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu seminar, because it's a bit more interactive. And then we definitely roll, because every seminar that doesn't have rolling is stupid, because you get annoyed and everyone wants to roll, because that's the reason you go to Jiu-Jitsu. So I'll roll with everyone, even if you're not allowed to beat me up though. And if anyone wants to book one of those, just drop me a message on any of my social media stuff, and I'll be happy to come to your gym. And the idea is it's like 20 quid a head, and it's a 50-50 profit split with the owner of the gym. So the gyms get loads of money just for me turning up and teaching. And if you've got 5 people or 50, I don't care. I'll come and do it.
Love that. Again, that's integrity. That's the understanding of the customer end, and also now the business end, making it viable, understanding how to make it all parties involved as well. Absolutely love that. So again, support Chris where you can, as to say, Battle Arena, doing loads of bits. Shout out to James Price again, building that platform to where it's at today.
Sky TV.
Incredible. This is it. Sky TV again. If you had the channel number, we'd plug that as well, but I'm sure it'll be all over socials when it comes out. Fantastic. Yep. Check out Fisticuffs_podcast, all social media platforms. We have the Valetudos in stock. We have the rash guards in stock. These are clean and washed, and the washing.
You have some baggy shorts. I can't do Valetudo shorts, so I've got women's hips.
I'm so glad you asked that, because we have our hybrid shorts launching soon. They're coming in the next 3 to 4 weeks. They're with the way I describe the fit is like 80s running shorts, or it's like high ride but baggy kickboxing kind of shorts. They're no. So it's a nice kind of fit. It's good. So it's going to come in.
I'm going to buy a pair, buddy. I'm going to support you.
Hey, support the brand. Love to see it.
Send me a link. I'll buy a pair of shorts.
Wonderful. And also be sure to check out our sponsors, the English Hypnotist. Now, I've done a post review on my story on my Fisticuffs page explaining my experience with hypnosis. As to say, very much a wishy-washy thing I used to think it would be. I thought it would be one of those sort of, healing crystal kind of nonsense. But no, a session with Rich, I was so blown away how applicable it actually is. Again, self-sabotage, mental blocks. We said people who perform in the gym but don't show up on the game day. This is real. This is coming from someone who always puts the time, always put the hours in, but can't always convert it on the day. This is real. And this is why it's important for fighters, business people. Again, it's your own roadblocks you're putting up yourself. And a conversation with Rich, albeit either development of existing areas you need to work on, or it's just, enhancing what you're really doing well. It's not a treatment to fix a problem necessarily. It's a bit of everything. It's adding time. You get a strength coach to work on your physique and your athleticism. You get a mental coach to help you on your mindset and development, that side of things. Again, links always been in the description. Thank you everyone for listening. Stay grateful, stay safe, and we're all good.